A 6-year-old Naruto stared with contempt from atop the clan wall, watching his parents train his younger siblings. Minato instructed Mito on molding the Kyuubi's chakra, while Kushina taught Naoki how to use chakra chains. They trained diligently, proud of their progress. Naruto couldn't deny his jealousy. Perhaps if I were special like them, I'd be loved too, he thought bitterly. His siblings received special training while he was relegated to the sidelines, a silent observer. He knew better than to ask for training. The answer was always no, followed by "These are clan techniques, Naruto," or a sharp umbu. He once, and only once, dared to ask why they received such specialized instruction. "Because they're special," came the blunt reply. He'd regretted it ever since, never asking again, certain of the outcome, especially after overhearing his so-called godfather deliver crucial news to his so-called parents. 1 year ago, a fateful prophecy. A 5-year-old Naruto approached his father's study, intending to once again ask for training anything. As he neared the door, he heard two voices, his father's and the pervert's. "What did the toads tell you?" Minato asked. "They spoke of an odd prophecy," Jiraiya stated. "Let's hear it," Kushina urged. "They tell of one sired by the whirlpool and the light," Jiraiya said, gesturing to the couple. "The child shall have more than it truly is. Of power not its own, it shall bring either a new dawn or dusk." "Not hard to interpret," Kushina remarked. "One of our children will use power not their own," Minato continued. "But the last part worries me," Jiraiya interjected. "If the child turns evil, it'll destroy Konoha." "It's Mito," Minato declared. "How do you know that?" Kushina asked. "The Kyuubi's power isn't hers," he answered. "And I already know the perfect solution for the last part." "That is?" Naoki, the Hokage replied. "With his chakra chains, he can suppress the fox." He added as an afterthought, "With Naruto the way he is, she'll feel the need to protect him." The adults pondered this for a few moments, admitting it was a decent plan with fixable flaws. "Good plan," Kushina stated. "We should increase their training." "What about Naruto?" Jiraiya inquired. "I'll take care of that myself," Minato said, as Kushina placed a hand on his shoulder. "We can't waste time on a lost cause." Naruto, distraught, had heard every word. So that's it? He thought sadly. A lost cause. He now knew his parents wouldn't even try to help him. "I guess I am a lost cause, compared to them at least." Mito was the Kyuubi's Jinchuriki, making her potential nearly limitless. Naoki chewed on his chakra chains, proving the strong Uzumaki blood within him. Silently, Naruto retreated to his room. As Minato had said, he took care of it in a way no one would have expected. It was the greatest betrayal Naruto had ever felt. The betrayal. It was just a day after Jiraiya spoke of the prophecy. "Hey, Naruto-kun," his father called. "Let's go get some ramen." Naruto was surprised and confused. After hearing the prophecy, he'd assumed his father didn't love him. "Maybe I was wrong," he thought. "Why yeah," he answered excitedly. They walked to Ichiraku's, Naruto's favorite place. They ate in silence mostly, but Naruto didn't mind, he was just happy to be with his dad. "Naruto," his father said suddenly. "Yes? You love the family, right?" Minato asked in a strange tone. "You'd do anything for it, right?" "Yes," Naruto answered. He truly did love his family, though small, they were still family. "You know your little siblings are destined for great things, right?" Minato continued in the same tone. "That they'll need all of our attention." Now Naruto understood where the conversation was heading. "This is how he tells me I'm worthless," Naruto thought sadly. "Yes, Dad," Naruto spoke, near tears. "I know about the prophecy." "You heard that," Minato said, then brightened. "Good, that makes it easier to explain." He looked down at the sad Naruto. "Are you finished with your ramen?" Naruto looked at his half-eaten sixth bowl. The wonderful flavor had turned bitter in his mouth. "Yes," he answered. "Come on," Minato urged. "Let's take you home." Minato stood and began walking, with Naruto following. "Wait, Dad," Naruto called, pointing in the opposite direction. "That's the wrong way. The compound is the other way." "Come along, Naruto," Minato said, his voice strange again. Naruto followed silently. They stopped in front of a large compound. Tsunade Senju, his grandmother, sat alone. The legendary Kunoichi approached them, glanced at Naruto, then turned to the Hokage. "Are you sure about this?" she asked. "Yes," Minato answered. "Come along now," Tsunade said. What? Naruto was confused. "You haven't told him?" Tsunade asked. "No," Minato stated. "He'll figure it out." "What's going on?" Naruto asked, terrified. "Naruto-kun," Tsunade spoke sadly, seeming nervous. "You're going to be living with me now. I welcome you to the Senju compound, your new home." Realization dawned on Naruto. He did the only thing a child could do, he cried. "Don't make this any harder, Naruto," Minato ordered. "It's for the best of the clan." "How?" Tsunade asked, only to be silenced by a glare. When they looked back, Naruto was gone. He had run as fast as he could. He had to get there. Mom will save me, he thought hopefully. Mothers had a different bond with their children. They spent 9 months together. He arrived at the clan compound. He added a little chakra to the door as he'd been taught, but nothing happened. It didn't open. He began banging on the door, shouting at the top of his lungs, "Mom, help Mom!" A small crowd formed, but no one intervened. Eventually, the doors opened. Kushina stood there, his siblings on either side of her arms. "Can I help you?" Kushina asked calmly. "Mom, Dad is trying to get rid of me," he shouted. "Help!" Naruto expected consolation and love. Instead, he received a firm smack to the face. "Naruto-san," she said in a cold tone, "you're disrupting my family. Please be gone." Mom?" Naruto asked in fear. "You heard her," a voice spoke. Naruto turned and saw Minato standing behind him with Tsunade. "No," Naruto whispered in despair. "Come along, Naruto-kun," Tsunade said, tears still in her eyes. "Mom, where is Naruto-kun going?" Mito asked, confused. "Is he in trouble?" Naruto thought quickly. He couldn't let his sister be sad. "I was acting stupid," Naruto said hastily. "I'm being grounded at Grandma's home." "Oh, when will you be back?" Noeki asked. I don't know," Naruto answered. "Probably never." The fight finally left Naruto. He made his way to Tsunade's side. They made a sad walk back to the Senju compound. That night, Naruto cried into Tsunade's shoulder for hours. "If only I was special," he cried to himself. "You are special," Tsunade spoke firmly. "Don't let anyone tell you different." Present day, the outcasts watch. That was why he watched in contempt from a distance. He couldn't get any closer due to security. The seals Minato had added, which blocked all but family signatures, kept him out. The entire village treated him like a ghost after that. Apparently, no one wanted to be associated with the outcast, especially if it meant incurring the Hokage's wrath. This left Naruto without friends or family. The worst part, worse than his loneliness, was the secrecy. Naruto was forbidden from telling the twins the truth. They weren't allowed to know what their parents did. They had to believe Naruto's lie was the truth. A law was made to enforce it, with death as the punishment for breaking it. After all, the Hokage couldn't lose face with his own children, could he? This meant he could only watch over and protect them from afar. He didn't blame his siblings in the slightest. How could he? They didn't choose how they were born. He himself admitted they were special, more so than him at least. His hateful glares were aimed directly at his former parents. He hated his parents for their actions. Actually, he hated them for their lack of actions. Not that they cared. It was for that reason he swore he would become the most special. A prodigy's pursuit. Naruto had just finished his routine guard duty. He wasn't watching the village. For the past few years, Naruto had been watching over his siblings. He could only stay for a certain period before being forcibly removed. Now, he was heading to a place he loved, the library. Naruto loved reading about the shinobi of the world, especially Nukenin. They always had something that made them special, from hidden jutsu to powerful weapons and even bloodlines. Examples included the puppet master Sasori of the Red Sand, who became a human puppet, and the 7 swordsmen of the mist and their unique weapons. Of all these ninja, his favorite was the former Kanahanin, Hirako, and his Chimera technique. But he didn't just go there for fun, he went to improve in a specific field, Fuinjutsu. If anyone paid attention, they would notice he was a prodigy in the art. He took pride that it was all him, not from Uzumaki blood or Minato, just him. We now find Naruto training his body harder than an 8-year-old should, pushing it to its peak capabilities and beyond. It was a truly horrible yet wondrous sight. However, no matter how much he trained, no matter how hard he pushed himself, he was just a boy. There were limits to how far he could take his body. "It's no use," he thought bitterly. It didn't help that he had no one to train him. Since his banishment, he was forbidden from using any namikaze or Uzumaki techniques, not that he knew any. He felt bittersweet when Minato felt his pain. He remembers it like it was yesterday. Flashback, a new name, a new home. Tsunade burst into the room where Naruto had spent the last 2 days, completely withdrawn, simply waiting for anything. "Naruto," she shouted at the top of her lungs. "Grandma," he replied, shocked. "Come on, brat," she called. "We need to get you out of this funk." "But I was kicked out," he responded, his moment of surprise fading. "You were kicked out of that house," she agreed with a sneer. "But not the home. Your home is with me." "What about Grandpa?" Naruto asked, knowing Jiraiya sided with Minato. He saw a sad look cross her face before she hid it, though not very well. "That pervert won't be staying with us," she spoke with conviction. "My home is only for the Senju line, us." "But Minato took away my name," he refused to call him father. Tsunade wasn't surprised by his refusal. He took away the Uzumaki Namikaze name, Tsunade stated. But only I can take away the Senju name. She gave him a fierce smirk. I can also give it to those I find worthy. She hesitantly placed her infamous necklace around his neck. I find you worthy to be the heir to the Senju line. Naruto quickly caught on to her hints. She had taken the Senju name from Minato and bestowed it upon him. Why wouldn't she? It was in his blood after all. Friendship in the darkness. After Naruto regained the energy to walk, he went to eat. As he did, another presence made itself known by wrapping its hands around his eyes. Hello, Mikato, Naruto greeted. Aw, she pouted as she released him. How do you always know it's me? Other than Grandma, you're one of the only people I have contact with, Naruto answered. Sad but true, Mikato mentally agreed. In the entire village, Naruto only had a few people he cared for and who cared back. They were his few, but truly precious people. After Naruto was exiled from his clan, Mikato cut her ties with the Uzumaki/Namikaze heads. She didn't blame the children and accepted them whenever they crossed paths. How about we get some ramen to cheer up? Mikato offered. Naruto's stomach answered for him. Hello, Ayam-chan, Naruto greeted. The Ichiraku family were among the few who didn't treat Naruto any differently. They didn't care that he was an outcast or about his genes. He came as a customer and became their friend. 5 bowls later, Naruto was back to his old self. Mikato and Naruto began discussing their everyday lives, such as his fixation with becoming special for his plans. She humored him for a long while, even telling him many things about her own bloodline that fascinated him. She spoke of how some Uchiha possessed a unique Sharingan ability. He loved her tales of the most powerful Uchiha ever born, Madara, a shinobi of such power that he went toe-to-toe with another of Naruto's favorites, his grandfather Hashirama Senju. Hello, Mikato-chan, an energetic voice called. How are you? The two turned to see Kushina and the rest of the Namikaze family, including Jiraiya and their honorary member, Kakashi. Hello, Namikaze-sama, I am well, Mikato greeted distantly. I was just finishing a bowl of ramen. As the two prepared to leave, Kushina stopped them, or rather, she stopped Mikato. Wait, how about we catch up? Kushina offered. We never talk like we used to. I wonder why, Mikato retorted, glancing at Naruto. This didn't go unnoticed by anyone, and tension began to rise. Civilians and shinobi alike were both afraid and curious for more to happen. I had no choice, Kushina stated. They need our full attention. This is bigger than you can understand. She wanted her friend to understand. I need my clan to thrive if it's going to be brought back, and Naoki has stronger Uzumaki blood in him. So only a redhead can bring back your clan? Mikato asked. Or is it that you want them to carry your chains? Mikato knew perfectly well what they were planning. Naruto had informed her himself. For a child, he possessed deduction skills worthy of a seasoned shinobi. Kushina wanted the Uzumaki clan restored, and for that, she needed a male heir. With the unique chakra chain passed through Naoki, it would make the clan greater. Then there was Mito, being a Jinchuriki, destined to be a powerful tool for the village. There were hints that she was the child of prophecy, making her even more valuable. What did Naruto have compared to that? He would be an embarrassment. Mikato was ashamed to see how far her friend had fallen. I see we'll never see eye to eye, Kushina stated. Too bad. She looked at the Uchiha with sad eyes. Goodbye, Mikato. I'm going to miss you. As the two left, they couldn't help but feel suspicion. Kushina was known for rarely giving up on anything or anyone. Plus her goodbye, he thought. It seemed so final. His thoughts were interrupted by Minato. Naruto-san, is it safe to say you will be with the Uchihas tonight? Why does he care? Yes, is that a problem, Hokage-sama? No, no problem at all, the Hokage stated happily, a little too happily. Mom, when is Naruto coming home? Mito asked, pointing to Naruto. The twins might not have known what was happening, but they were sure of one thing: something was going on around them that they weren't informed of. Being as young as they were, their memories couldn't process who he was, but their hearts told them he was someone close. Not now, sweetie, Minato answered. Eat your ramen. More than anything, Naruto wanted to run back to his sister, to tell Mito and Naoki the truth. As much as it broke his heart, he continued forward. Maybe I should get back to training. It always helped clear his mind. As his mind wandered down memory lane, his body collapsed. It had finally reached its inevitable end. It's not enough, he thought bitterly. It's nowhere near close to enough. A fateful encounter. As he raged to himself about being weak, he never noticed his guest watching from a distance. Yes, he's the one, a smooth voice spoke. So full of hate. A creature watched Naruto from a distance. It had been summoned by Naruto, more specifically, by his negative emotions. As the blonde began to break his back, he lost himself to his emotions. He wanted to burn out all the grief and anger they caused him. Hello, child. The blonde whipped himself around toward the voice. With his emotions running so high, he never noticed his guest. It was a very pale man with a slender body, but for some reason, Naruto thought of a snake. The man looked as if he wasn't doing too well, tired, as if the life in him was being sucked away somehow. "Who are you?" Naruto asked cautiously. "What do you want?" He wasn't being rude, that was just how things were for him. People would try to get him to agree to a marriage contract or convince him to unofficially join their clan. "I want you," he spoke in an echo-like voice. "I want your hate, how's that now?" Naruto asked, confused. "And who are you?" "My name is Zero," the pale man answered, moving closer. The one called Zero had to admit he was impressed with the boy. Even when abandoned, he strove to get stronger for his goal. "He will make a great asset to my plans. I have an offer for you, Naruto," the man spoke. "One that would benefit us both." "How?" Naruto asked, moving backward. "I can see inside of you, I can see your hate," he spoke smoothly. "I know you hate your parents. Anyone could have told you that," Naruto retorted. "Yes, but I also know you love your siblings," Zero stated. Quicker than Zero expected, the blonde pulled out a kunai. "Are you threatening them?" The blonde didn't know if he could beat the mysterious person, but he'd be damned if he didn't try to defend his siblings. "No, they are why I offer you the chance to become what you always wanted," Zero continued, ignoring the blade. "Imagine, the power you always wanted, power to keep them safe and get your revenge." The offer was tempting, very tempting. He had heard about the snake's exploits and knew that he was capable of keeping his word. "That's a good offer," Naruto said. "You made one mistake." "Oh, and what would that be?" Zero asked, intrigued. "I don't want revenge," he admitted. This statement caused Zero to stop in his tracks. Honestly, it was the farthest thing from his mind. If anything, he just wanted recognition. That didn't mean he wouldn't allow Minato to suffer if the opportunity ever arrived. "Then I'll have to make you succumb to your hate," Zero stated as he began to move again. "You'll be given power you could only dream of. A dark bargain." The blonde focused with all his might, begging his body for power. "Maybe, there is no power," he despaired, his mind consumed by a sick thought. What if it was all just a lie? A cruel joke orchestrated by Minato, a sick-minded man who had toyed with his hopes and dreams. Or perhaps the power was real, and Minato had robbed him of it, killing Zero before he could do whatever it was he was meant to do. This thought made him furious. A weak voice echoed in his head, "I can give it to you." "Wah!" Naruto exclaimed in shock, searching for the source of the voice. Itaki, mistaking his frantic search for a plea for safety, took note. It took only a moment for Naruto to realize the voice was inside his head. "Do you want it?" the voice asked. "Yes," he answered, his voice ringing out as the word echoed in his mind. "Then take it." All power, greater and darker than anything he'd ever felt, surged through him. It brought with it a rush of anger and thoughts that weren't his own. He felt as though he wasn't alone in his body anymore, something was with him. "I don't know what you're planning, Naruto," Itaka said calmly, "but it all ends here." Their eyes met, and the world fell away. Tsukuyomi. Naruto found himself on an endless plain beneath a red sky. He knew of the technique from Mikato's stories about her clan's bloodline, and he knew he was in trouble. He turned to see a look of shock on Itaka's face, a sight Naruto hadn't seen in years. The Uchiha was always so calm. Naruto realized why when he turned around again. Something else was in the genjutsu with them. It was a large, purplish creature with a no mask for a face and 5 thick, red strands of hair. The air around it pulsed with darkness, and a single kanji was on its mask, Zero. "What are you?" Itaki asked. "I am the darkness of mankind," it answered, shocking both of them. "I am the Zero Tails." "You're the one from before," Naruto stated, "the one who offered me power." "Yes," it answered. "What's going on, Naruto?" Itaki pressed. "Why is this thing inside of you? He harbors great hate," Zero answered. "You have negative emotions as well. Give it to me." Without warning, tendrils shot out and pierced Itaki. Impossible, he thought in a panic. He should have had complete control, but he was trapped, unable to move or dispel his own technique. He was being drained of not just his chakra, but his emotional energy, too. He felt his heart being crushed by a suffocating darkness. As Itaki felt himself weakening, Naruto felt the opposite. A renewed energy flowed into him, stolen from the Uchiha. "I don't know what you're planning, Uchiha," Naruto spoke coldly, the power coursing through him. "But it all ends here." "No," Zero's voice cut in. "We drain him dry." Itaki felt a fear he hadn't experienced in years. The Zero Tails took great pleasure in his predicament. While fear would make most people irrational, Itaki was not most people. He used the last of his control. "Naruto," an innocent voice called. "What's going on?" Naruto turned to the source of the voice and saw the two people he cared for most, his brother and sister. Their presence brought a feeling Zero couldn't stand. The creature fed on negative emotions like hate, fear, and despair. Love, courage, and hope were its bane, and those were exactly the emotions Naruto felt as he looked at his siblings. No, Zero screamed in defiance, lunging toward the Uchiha just as the Genjutsu world shattered. Itaki, a voice spoke as Itaka found himself free of the illusion. What happened? He looked toward his savior, a man wearing a flame-patterned mask with a single eye hole, a man who called himself Madara Uchiha. I was caught by surprise, Itaki answered calmly. The man eyed him before turning to Naruto, who was standing motionless with a vacant look on his face. A transparent, purple aura and black chakra began to emanate from him, forming the snake-like Zero Tails. Ah, the zero-tailed leech demon, the false-tailed beast, Madara said. Be gone. Our darkness, the demon spoke. More tendrils shot out, piercing Madara in several places. I said begone, Madara repeated, narrowing his eye. An invisible force compelled Zero to obey, and the demon retreated into Naruto, who then collapsed. Madara drew a kunai. What are you doing? Itaki asked. Ending it. Wait, Itaka spoke, a rare note of urgency in his voice. Naruto had hurt the masked man in a way he had never seen before. Maybe we should let him live. The Zero Tails could be useful for the plan. Madara, who had felt a part of himself ripped away, knew Itaki was up to something. He decided to play along. Fine. And the woman? She's of no threat, Itaka replied, hoping to save her. Fine. With a bow, Itaka disappeared. A minute later, Madara heard a scream that he was sure belonged to Sasuke before he, too, faded from reality, leaving a final glare for the blonde boy. A new purpose. Naruto awoke a day and a half later, exhausted but no longer bedridden, thanks to his Uzumaki vitality and Tsunade's watchful eye. She and Mikato had set aside their clan's old rivalry out of their affection for him. How are you feeling? Tsunade asked for what felt like the 100th time. I'm fine, Grandma, Naruto said, desperate to leave the hospital. In truth, he felt better than fine. It was as if he had a new weight inside him, a positive one. He just didn't know what it was. You just survived a massacre, and you're telling me you're fine, Tsunade screamed. You're not leaving until I've run every test I can. Naruto sighed, knowing her position as head of the hospital made her word law. Has Mikato-chan woken up yet? He asked, hoping to at least see his friend. When Tsunade shook her head, he replied, then no, I don't want to see her like that. Tsunade, a medic, understood his sympathy. There were many things Naruto wanted to take care of, but his grandmother's watchful eye forced him to do something drastic. He snuck out. Inside the Senju clan vault, Naruto stared at hundreds of scrolls, a childlike giddiness bubbling up inside him. He was on a mission to unravel a mystery, a line he'd overheard during his possession. The Zero Tails, the false-tailed beast. Like a kid in a candy store, Naruto dove into the scrolls, devouring them. He couldn't find much on the tailed beasts yet, but he committed everything he did find to memory. Hello, Naruto, a voice he hated spoke. Minato stood there, watching him with a cryptic eye. Those scrolls are pretty advanced, Minato said. What are you doing here? I know, Naruto replied without emotion. I could ask you the same thing. Minato had been banned from the scrolls after his neglect, and they now belonged to Naruto as the clan heir. Do you need something, Hokage-sama? Naruto asked in a monotone voice. I came to see how you were faring after the massacre, Minato answered smoothly. I know how much you cared for the Uchiha. It's a tragedy, Naruto stated, his anger rising. Not something I'd assume Itake to be capable of. How did you escape Itake? Minato asked. Naruto wasn't about to tell the truth. I don't know, he half admitted. I guess I just got lucky. It's not like Itake to leave a job unfinished, the fourth Hokage said, stepping forward. As Naruto instinctively stepped back, Minato reached into his pocket. Hello, Minato, another voice called, catching their attention. Minato removed his hand and turned to face his mother. Hello, mother, he greeted. I was just leaving, Tsunade finished for him, turning to Naruto. Mikato's awake. Want to see her? Yes, Naruto quickly answered. Later, Mom, Naruto, Minato called as he turned his attention to Naruto's scrolls. Interesting topic. Naruto caught the comment just before Tsunade whisked him away in a body flicker. At the hospital, Mikato was awake and waiting. How are you feeling? Naruto asked cautiously. Better, she replied. Naruto, are they all gone? Only you, Satsuki, and Suzuki are left, Naruto answered, and Mikato took in the news as best she could. What did Itaka say? She asked. Naruto, believing she had a right to know, told her everything. She came to the same tragic conclusion he had. Just as she was about to cry, Kushina and her children burst into the room. Mikato-chan, Kushina shouted, her twins running to hug the Uchiha matriarch. How are you feeling, Mikato? Kushina asked, her sweetness too cloying. Mikato's gaze filled with so much hate that everyone flinched. How am I feeling? Mikato repeated, her voice dripping with venom. How am I feeling? Your husband just ordered the execution of my entire clan. By my own son, no less. A gasp of shock escaped the twins, and Kushina's face shifted to a neutral glare. You shouldn't make such accusations, she whispered, especially when you no longer have any political power to back anything up. What do you mean? Mikoto asked. I am the matriarch of the now dead Uchiha clan, Kushina stated venomously. 3 members do not make a clan. I seem to recall you being the last members of the Uzumaki clan, Naruto interjected, and you and Minato of the Namikaze clan seem to be doing well, for the most part. Kushina was about to retort when Mito cried out, stop it. Everyone turned to the girl. Stop it. Daddy wouldn't order the death of an entire clan. He's a kind Hokage. He was willing to kick his own son out of the clan, Mikoto countered. Why wouldn't he be able to kill others? What? Mito looked at her brother for an explanation. You said he sent you away for punishment. What kind of punishment lasts for 2 years? Mikoto asked. And needs a person to change their name. Mito pushed her brother's comforting hand away. No, I don't believe you, she cried, running out of the room. Naruto wanted to go after her, but he felt he would only do more harm than good. Do you see what you've done? Kushina roared. Consider it the beginning, Mikoto stated vaguely. A new partner. Mito was only 8, and she couldn't handle the emotional turmoil. Why did he lie to me? She asked herself. Why would Daddy do something like that? None of it made sense. Her father was a loving, righteous leader. Why would he banish his son and order an entire clan's execution? She just wanted the pain in her heart to stop. Hate them, a dark voice spoke. Mito knew this was bad. The Kyuubi only spoke when her anger was high enough to manipulate her. She needed to calm down. Destroy them. But happy thoughts weren't working. With the feelings of anger and betrayal hanging onto her, anger seemed like the lesser evil. Do you want the pain to stop? The question distracted her just long enough for the Kyuubi to find an opening. A cry of pain escaped her as she felt a burning heat inside, each wave bringing a fresh wave of anger and power. She was losing herself, everything becoming a blurry annoyance. She just wanted to destroy everything. Mito, Naruto gasped, having felt the presence just as much as his mother and Mikoto. He ran for the door but was stopped by a chakra chain. Where do you think you're going? Kushina asked. I'm going to help my sister, he stated, but she held him firmly. What can you do? She asked. You'd only be in the way. Naruto stopped struggling, and a powerful black aura began to emanate from him. Kushina gasped as the chains holding him loosened and then fell to the ground. I'm going to help my sister, Naruto repeated without looking back. Interesting, Kushina thought to herself. Naruto arrived to find Mito losing control, already growing a second tail. She was trying to hold on, but the powerful Kyuubi's tail was whipping around, causing devastation. No, she's not ready, Kushina thought desperately. She and her other son, Naoki, had never gotten past the initial stage of her training. Mito, you need to calm down. Remember your training. Mito didn't seem to hear her. Kushina had no choice. Naoki, just like we practiced, she grumbled. The two shot out a volley of golden chakra chains, restraining Mito, who began to fight back with the Kyuubi's chakra. Mom, I can't hold it, Naoki shouted, his chains retracting. Kushina grimaced, knowing she wouldn't be able to hold the beast for long either. She cut her connection, and Mito continued her rampage. What do I do? Naruto looked around frantically. Such anger, a demonic voice spoke. Where have you been? Naruto asked. I was forced away, Zero answered, referring to the effect of Itaka's eyes. It was a dark power, and Zero admitted he had liked it enough to take it. Help me, Naruto begged. No, Zero answered. A flash of yellow caught Naruto's attention. Minato was on a nearby roof. Naruto sighed with relief, believing Minato was Mito's only hope. But Kushina joined him, whispering something in his ear. Their eyes met, and Minato smirked, taking a step back. Naruto's eyes widened in disbelief. The demon had refused to help, but that was its nature. But Minato, his own father, wasn't going to help his daughter. The rage he felt made Zero happy. Use it, Zero commanded. Naruto obeyed, and once again, he felt a presence guiding him. He went through a series of hand signs and spoke words he had only read about. Dark style, dark dragon. A horse-sized dragon made of shadows pulled itself from the ground. It was an Eastern Chinese-type dragon with a trunk-like nose, and it was capable of draining chakra. Naruto hoped this one would do the same. I am possible, he heard his mother gasp. The Kyuubi Mito immediately attacked the dragon, which wrapped itself around her and began to drain her chakra. Naruto felt his own chakra draining as well, but the Kyuubi's demonic chakra was an endless well. Need more power, Naruto shouted. Zero, whether out of kindness or some devious plot, gave Naruto a fresh surge of foul chakra. It was enough to draw the Kyuubi Mito's attention away from the dragon. Their eyes met. Naruto's eyes ached as they filled with darkness, until they were as black as a void, a single red dot forming in each. He was on another plane. He was inside Mito, in front of a giant cell containing the source of his problems, the Kyuubi. The fox glared at him, but he ignored it, searching for Mito, who was wrapped in the Kyuubi's chakra. He grabbed her and pulled her into a hug, surprising the fox. The Kyuubi's chakra should have incinerated him. How can you touch my chakra? The fox demanded. Kyuubi, Naruto spoke, his eyes fixed on his sister. If you ever do anything to harm my sister, I am immortal and more powerful than you could ever hope to be, Kyuubi stated smugly. What can you do, human? Simple. Naruto finally turned to the fox, a look in his eyes that made the demon take a step back in fear. I'll seal your power away and then kill you over and over again. The Kyuubi was terrified, but that fear was quickly replaced by anger. A human child had dared to threaten it, a being of rage and hate incarnate. Fourth, the fox roared. It was that man's child, the one with the mother he'd hated for so long. The fox let out a roar of chakra, but Naruto's own dark chakra flared, creating a Zero-Tails aura. Hello, Fox, Zero spoke. You, Kyuubi roared. We'll be leaving, Zero said. As soon as I take something. A tendril pierced the Kyuubi and drew out its chakra. Before anything could be said, Zero removed it, and Naruto's mind went blank. He awoke back in reality, holding an unconscious Mito. Around him, a crowd of civilians and shinobi stared in wonder. In the front, his so-called family watched on. That's my boy, Minato shouted, gaining a cheer from the crowd. What's he planning? Naruto thought, before fainting from exhaustion. A fateful deal. Naruto awoke in his room at the Senju compound, with Mito sleeping beside him. At his door, he could hear Tsunade and Kushina arguing. He's our son, Kushina shouted. Wrong, Tsunade countered. When you two exiled him from your clans, you gave up all rights to him. I took him in and gave him part of his heritage back. What's going on? Naruto asked the Zero-Tails, which had partially manifested itself. They know you're special now, Zero spoke in his head. They want it. Special? Naruto asked. Like you always wanted, Zero said. You were given the power of darkness, my power. Naruto looked at the demon. Something was off. It wasn't acting shady anymore. What do you want? He asked. Why are you different? To be complete, it answered. We are already on the right track. How? What do you want? Zero asked in return. You have power that makes you special, but there's something else. Naruto looked at Mito. Being near her makes the darkness in you brighten, Zero commented. She's my little sister, Naruto answered, the most precious of my few people. She is in danger, Zero spoke. What? Zero didn't explain with words. A tendril shot out, piercing Naruto's head and mind. He saw it all, the Rikudo Sennin, the moon, Madara Uchiha, the Akatsuki, the tailed beasts, and the Juubi. When Zero removed the tendril, Naruto fell to the ground, now understanding everything. The Zero-Tails wasn't a true tailed beast, it was the consciousness of the Juubi. While the Gadumazo held the body, Zero held the mind. Its purpose was to collect the essence of the tailed beasts and recreate the Juubi. But the Akatsuki wanted to do the same, and they wanted to control it. Naruto looked at Mito, who was in danger from the Akatsuki. He had to protect her. To do that, he needed help. He looked at the Zero-Tails. It had a purpose, but it couldn't fulfill it alone, it needed a host. It had already started with the Kyuubi, and now it had 8 more to go. Naruto's new purpose became clear, he needed to destroy the Akatsuki to keep Mito safe. I'll help you become whole, he spoke to the demon. You help me with my dreams. Deal. It was no longer a parasitic relationship, it was symbiotic. Naruto looked at the window, then at his sister. Goodbye, Mito, he whispered. I'll be back, and we can be a family again. Promise? She asked in her sleep. Naruto froze, then relaxed. I promise. He gave her a single kiss on the cheek and vanished into the darkness. After running away from his village, Naruto made 3 critical mistakes. First, he didn't say a proper goodbye to those he cared about. Second, he left with no supplies. His third mistake was failing to realize he had just been in a room with 2 cage-level shinobi who were arguing about him, and they would surely notice his departure. As Naruto ran through the forest, the training he had received allowed him to go far and fast, but without a complete ninja education, he couldn't get too far. He only made it to the halfway point of the woods thanks to the dark chakra from Zero. Naruto, a voice shouted. The blonde froze and turned to see his grandmother, Tsunade. Hi, Grandma, Naruto said. Don't you hi, Grandma me, she snapped. We're going back to the village. No, Naruto stated. Not yet. I'm not ready. Ready for what? Tsunade asked. To protect Mito and Naoki, to destroy Minato. The list goes on. You don't have to protect her alone, another voice said. The 2 blondes turned to see a redhead making her way toward them. It was true that the redhead would help, but not all the burden was hers. Neither of them noticed a second redhead hiding behind a tree. Naoki listened silently, using the stealth his parents had taught him. He heard that Naruto felt a duty to protect and destroy on behalf of him and Mito. Noeki was torn between loyalty, duty, and love. He pulled out one of his father's trikunao, a tool he was told to use only in an emergency. He knew that half the village, including his parents, was searching for Naruto. It was his duty to inform them that he had found his brother, but surely Naruto had a good reason for leaving. This was too much for the 8-year-old. He wasn't like his siblings, he didn't carry the burden of a giant chakra demon or a prodigy who had been cast aside. He was just Noeki. A flood of memories returned to Noeki. In a flashback, Noeki looked at his sleeping brother and sister after a difficult day. He was happy that things would get better. Now that Naruto had this dark chakra, his parents were obsessed with him, and Naruto could finally come home. He was special now, just like them. This thought led Noeki to ask his parents a difficult question. "Mom, Dad," he said, "why did you kick Naruto out?" Looking uncomfortable, his parents finally sighed in defeat. "Well, Noeki," Minato began, "he's not like you or your sister." "What do you mean?" "Your sister is the host of the Kyuubi, making her the village's trump card," Minato explained. "The village's sword and shield." "But I'm not like that," Noeki said, feeling sullen. "Noeki, you are important," Kushina spoke firmly. "More important than either of your siblings." Minato added with pride, "You are my firstborn son, my heir. When I'm dead or too old, you will continue my legacy. And you will continue the legacy of New Whirlpool," Kushina said with equal pride, showing her chains for emphasis. "We are the only two people capable of this. With them, you will bring about a new age of the Uzumaki clan. It is your duty to be your sister's keeper," Minato said in a firmer tone. "Be her protector when necessary and, if need be, her executioner." "What?" Noeki shouted in shock. "I can't do that." "Noeki Uzumaki ne Makazi," Minato shouted. "It is your duty to aid the village. You have an obligation." Kushina asked, "If, God forbid, Mito loses control of the Kyuubi, what do you think will happen?" "It'll destroy everything," he answered, his memories of the event still fresh. "It'll hurt people." "Exactly," Minato reasoned. "It won't even be your sister anymore. Do you understand, Noeki?" "Yes, I understand." Noeki now understood that his duty to the clan and the village came before his own feelings. He threw the trikunao. Tsunade, still talking to Naruto, reluctantly agreed to his plan. "Okay, Naruto," she said. "But please be careful." Naruto turned toward the direction of Noeki's hiding spot. He didn't know who was there, but he could feel the growing negative emotions and arrogance. A blur flew in their direction, and Tsunade, with her experience, caught the kunao. The two blondes paled when they realized it was one of Minato's. In a flash, the fourth Hokage appeared. Noeki stepped out from behind the tree. Minato looked at him happily, knowing they had finally gotten through to their son. "That's my boy." Naruto and Mito looked at their brother in betrayal. Noeki looked back with a mix of pride and contempt. "Why?" Naruto asked. "Because my heir is loyal," Minato answered. Naruto glared at Minato, understanding it wasn't Noeki's fault but a result of his father's brainwashing. "What do you want?" Naruto asked. "I want my son to come home," Minato replied pleasantly. "I want us to be a family again." "Bullshit," Tsunade and Naruto replied in unison. "He's smarter than you think," Tsunade snapped. "He knows what happened and what's going on." "Stop being difficult, Naruto," Minato said in a different, cold tone. "Who else can teach you to use the Ribi's dark chakra?" Naruto froze. "How did you know?" "No other being has pure dark chakra," Minato answered. "With me, you can learn to utilize and control it." "I'm not going to control Zero," Naruto stated. "Don't be a fool," Minato snapped. "It's a leech demon. A parasite. Either you control it, or it takes control of you and kills you." A second voice spoke. "Only we can teach you." Everyone turned to see Kushina make her way through the woods. Minato continued, "I have all the notes on your subject. From the Senju and Uchiha clans. No one else can teach you to utilize it. So come home," Kushina smiled. "Come to mommy." "I'm not your son," Naruto snapped. "We made sure of that. I am Naruto Senju. You need us," Minato growled. "No," Naruto said. "I don't need you or your notes. I already have a source of information, greater than yours. Enough of this." Minato snapped his hand, and a large squad of Umbu appeared. "You have no claim to him, Minato," Tsunade growled. "He is a member of my clan and not a shinobi of the leaf." It was obvious the Hokage wasn't listening. Naruto frantically thought, "Zero, I need help." "I can get us out of here," it answered. "At a cost." "Anything," Naruto replied. The knowledge of the event about to happen flowed into his mind. "Grandma," Naruto said cautiously, "get Mito and Noeki, head home, fast." Tsunade, feeling the boy gather a tremendous amount of chakra, grabbed the kids and reverse summoned herself with them. The chakra was frighteningly potent, consuming everything in a dark pressure. The animals in the forest went silent and into hiding. The trees stood still as if the air itself was preparing for what was to come. Naruto simply whispered the word cataclysm. The earth began to shake and split, and the sky darkened as hundreds of lightning bolts struck the ground. Dozens of tornadoes appeared, pulling and blowing everything away. It concluded with a mushroom-shaped explosion. The lush forest was now a barren plain. Many Konoha shinobi were caught in the wide-range destruction, with only his family escaping. Among the wreckage, Naruto was nowhere to be found. A weary blonde walked aimlessly. He knew his destination was close, but he wasn't sure he would make it. The jutsu had taken both Naruto and the Ribi to their limits. Naruto asked for the 100th time, 0? The answer was always the same: need, more, hate. The jutsu had drained the demon of nearly everything. Naruto could feel a source of foul emotions gathering around one spot, his destination, his target. He was looking for someone with knowledge and a similar goal. "Hello, child," a voice whispered. Naruto turned to his target, a smile on his face, though fear was in his heart. "Hello," Naruto returned. Orochimaru. The Zero watched its host. Once they entered the Sound Village, the amount of dark emotions was enough to send the Ribi into a feeding frenzy. If Naruto had been anyone else, he would have gone crazy, but he fought back and maintained control. Zero was impressed, thinking, "Guess that's why I chose him." "So what brings you here, Naruto-kun?" Orochimaru asked. "You have something I want, something I need," Naruto answered. "Oh, and what would that be? And what will I get in return?" "You were once part of an organization called Akatsuki," Naruto stated. "They are a problem for both of us." Orochimaru, no fool, asked, "How are they a problem for you?" "They're after Mito, my sister," Naruto growled, the air around him darkening. "They'll get her over my dead body." "I see, so you want information on them." "No and yes," Naruto said, confusing him. "I want your notes on them, their plans, and those of the tailed beasts." "And why, pray tell, would I give you that kind of information?" Orochimaru asked. "You're just a child. And I don't want a group of S-rank rogues coming down on me." Naruto pulled a single trikunao from his shadow, the one Nueki used to call Minato. Orochimaru's interest was piqued. "Are you threatening me, boy?" Orochimaru hissed. "No, the opposite," Naruto smirked. "I'm giving you the chance to crush Minato." "I'm listening." "This kunao is the source of his power," Naruto explained. "Without it, he's just an elite jonin at best. You, on the other hand, are a cage-level shinobi." Orochimaru understood. "Disable the kunao. And Minato's vulnerable," Naruto finished. Orochimaru was starting to like the boy. Still, he had a reputation to keep. "And why shouldn't I just kill you and take the kunao?" he asked, letting out a small wave of killer intent. "It would be easy." The key did nothing to unnerve Naruto, it only strengthened him. "Because you would have done it already." Orochimaru stopped the intent and smirked. He snapped his finger, summoning a shinobi. "Bring me everything on Akatsuki and the tailed beasts." The deal was set. Orochimaru would give the blonde the notes, and Naruto would give the snake the kunao. "What's wrong, boy?" Orochimaru asked, noticing Naruto's hesitation. "You are skilled in Fuinjutsu, right?" Naruto asked. "Yes. I have a second deal for you. I want you to make me into a proper host in exchange for a later favor." "What are you up to, Naruto?" Zero asked. "Just some insurance," Naruto answered. "Proper host?" Orochimaru asked. "Does this have to do with the tailed beast inside you?" "The Ribi, correct." "How? You don't think a former member of Akatsuki wouldn't notice a host when he saw one?" Orochimaru asked. "Plus, the incident near Konoha is widely talked about. Can you do it?" "Will you?" Naruto asked with hope. "No," Orochimaru answered. "Someone as small as you would probably die from the pain alone." Naruto drew a sharpened kunao and impaled his own hand without a shout or tear. "Pain is no problem for me." "Child, what you're asking would be near impossible," Orochimaru stated. "The chances of survival are below slim to none." "You really want to do this," Naruto stated. The snake fell to his knees, wrapping an arm around Naruto. "Please, it would be an honor." It took a day to prepare. They were in a sterile room covered in seals. Even if everything was in place, there was no guarantee Naruto would survive. "You know it's dangerous, Naruto-kun." "All great things are," Naruto countered. "You know that firsthand." Orochimaru chuckled. "You are an interesting one. You still haven't told me what you're planning," the Ribi said, nervous about the Fuinjutsu. "Right now you are in me as a parasite," Naruto stated. "That is dangerous for me. If we were to ever run out of dark chakra, I'd be weakened." Ribi was beginning to understand. For them to truly be in a symbiotic relationship, both needed to have a beneficial gain. "Are you ready, Naruto-kun?" "Yes, we are." The process was long and painful. Their bodies were torn apart and remerged. They couldn't pass out, as their minds would be destroyed. Naruto focused on his hatred for Minato and his plans of destruction for Akatsuki. Ribi, for the first time in its life, comforted Naruto, strengthening his will. They were no longer parasite and host, they were a true symbiosis. Separated in their shared minds but together as one in all else. Orochimaru looked at the being before him. "Hello," he spoke. "Are you Naruto or Ribi?" "We are neither," he weakly answered. "We are both. What shall I call you?" "Call us Menma." A sound shinobi entered the room with a large scroll. "This is my end of the deal," Orochimaru spoke. "I'll call that favor in later." Menma pulled the kunao out of the darkness. Their deal was done. "Rest for now," Orochimaru ordered. "No harm will come to you." Menma slept for a day. It wasn't enough, but he had every reason to leave. He was dressed in a standard umbu outfit, with wild black hair, thickened whisker marks, deep black eyes with a red dot, and a muscular body. He had grown an entire foot. He was leaving through the west gate when Orochimaru appeared beside him. "Where are you going?" "Our deal is complete. We're leaving." "You know that you are still too weak," Orochimaru stated. "You would be an easy target." It was true, Ribi had used almost all its chakra during the merging process. "We will survive," Menma stated. "If you stay, I'll have you trained as a Jinchuriki of the Ribi." Menma looked at the snake suspiciously. "Why, if I were you, I'd take the chance to gather as much free negative energy as I can," Orochimaru hinted. "Especially when you can actually train and master your abilities." "We accept." "Excellent," Orochimaru purred. "I'll have an acquaintance meet with us in a few days to begin your training." Menma asked, "How did you know we'd be leaving from this gate?" Orochimaru suppressed his amusement. "This gate is the furthest from Konoha." A week passed. Menma studied the notes on Akatsuki and the tailed beasts, constantly sustained by the negative energy of the village. In turn, he helped Orochimaru search for a way to disable the Flying Thunder God technique, a testament to both their genius and hatred for Minato. Orochimaru never questioned the blonde's plans or goals, knowing whatever he had in mind would be interesting. Shino, an ally of Orochimaru, arrived at the end of the week. Upon their first meeting, Menma was immediately on guard. The man, Shino, seemed pleasant, but Menma sensed it was a facade hiding a deep-seated resentment he couldn't understand. If Shino intended to harm Menma, he never got the chance. Orochimaru, or one of his guards, always kept a watchful eye on them. Shino taught Naruto everything he knew about the Zero Tails and Dark Chakra. The list of dark techniques and capabilities he possessed shocked Menma. It was then that Menma began to finally understand the man. Months passed, and as Naruto grew in skill and power, he actually came to enjoy the Sound Village. But everything had a limit, and it was time for Menma to put his plans into motion. "You have been an interesting guest, Menma-kun," Orochimaru said. "I think I'll actually be sad to see you go." "We will miss you as well, Orochimaru-sensei," Menma admitted. The snake Sunin looked at the boy before him, recognizing that a genuine bond had formed between them. Naruto trusted the fallen Sunin's ways, and Orochimaru saw a reflection of himself in the blonde turned dark, a glimpse of what he could have been if he had chosen a slightly different path. Orochimaru reached into his cloak and pulled out a sound headband. "In case you need village affiliation," Orochimaru stated, "you will always be welcome here." The headband meant a lot to Naruto. "Thank you, sensei." He tied it around his head. As Menma watched the snake Sunin make his way back into the village, he noticed a second presence the moment the gates closed. It was Shino, who had been hiding. With Orochimaru gone, he could finally act. "Hello, Menma," Shino greeted. "Shino-sensei," Menma returned. "Before you leave, Menma, I have a surprise for you," Shino spoke warmly. "That's not necessary," Menma reasoned. "Please, Menma," Shino insisted, firmly placing a hand on the boy's shoulder. Though Menma had gained a little more than a single tail's worth of power and sound, the man still made him nervous. "Fine," he said, having no choice but to agree. In a dark body flicker that wasn't Menma's, they disappeared. They arrived about a mile outside the village in an empty plain, where a lone figure was bound by ropes with a bag over his head. Something about the figure drew Menma to him. He knew, without knowing how, that this was his target. Probably has something to do with Ribi, he reasoned. Menma removed the bag and looked the man in the eyes. "Who are you?" the man asked. The man was Rashi, the Jinchuriki of the Four Tails. Menma turned to his teacher in disbelief. "You brought the Jinchuriki of the Four Tails here?" he asked in shock. "How and why?" "As a trading item," Shino answered. "You give me the Zero, and I'll give you the Four Tails." Menma looked at the man, who had now dropped his pleasant facade and was showing his true colors. "No," Naruto stated. With a false sigh of sadness, Shino said, "You should have taken the deal. Zero Tails sealing technique." The ground beneath both Menma and Rashi began to glow with seals. It didn't take long for Menma to realize it was a trap. "We can't move," Menma exclaimed. "It's a shame explaining to Orochimaru how you died," Shino said, a cruel smile forming on his lips. "Killed by the Four Tails. I'll extract the ribby from your corpse. And how do you plan on making me kill a child? Rashi asked. Shino turned toward Rashi as if he had forgotten him. I didn't say you, Shino repeated. I said the Four Tails. You're just a wall. Before Rashi could retort, he felt a strong darkness penetrate his being, affecting even the Four Tails itself. Menma, meanwhile, felt the darkness he had gathered leave him. It was as if all his time and sound had been for nothing. Well, I can't just extract the zero from its host, Shino stated, as if it were obvious. That could cause it to be destroyed, and it would take years for it to reform. But I can drain it of negative energy and place it elsewhere, say, inside the Four Tails host. Shino's intentions were now as plain as day. He would use the Zero Tails darkness to overpower Rashi and make him attack Menma. You made one mistake. Rashi yelled through the darkness. Your seal stops, the child, but not me. Just as he finished, Rashi proved his words true. A large tail of the Four Tails appeared behind him. What the hell? Shino exclaimed. Without a single hand sign, Rashi's cheek expanded. Monkey Flame Airson. A jet of green flames shot from Rashi's mouth. However, Rashi didn't aim at Shino or Menma, he aimed for the seals on the ground. The seals pulsed from the sudden surge of demonic chakra, which they weren't designed to contain. With a final flash, the platform cracked, stopping the flow of darkness and releasing Menma. Now! He mentally shouted. Without the need for hand signs, Menma began manipulating shadows. Exploding Shadow Leech. A leech made of darkness launched itself at Shino, latching onto his neck and expanding its serpent-like body like a balloon. The attack, which Naruto had based on Deidara's style, was designed to drain a target's chakra and explode if it consumed enough or was attacked. Shino pulled out a scalpel and struck the shadow construct. The shadow construct erupted in a chakra explosion. Since the creature was still small, the damage was superficial, but a blow to the neck was still dangerous. Fool! I designed most of Orochimaru's revitalizing jutsu to begin with, he shouted. Do you think a simple wound like this will hurt me? Shino looked around for his opponent but saw he was alone. An exhausted Menma pulled an equally exhausted Rashi from a shadow. Menma knew anyone Orochimaru considered a colleague would be tough to kill, which is why the exploding leech was just a distraction. It worked long enough for Menma to meld into the darkness with Rashi. Speaking of Rashi, Menma saw the man wasn't doing well. The darkness transfer seal may have been destroyed, but not soon enough. Enough of the darkness had made its way into Rashi to affect the Four Tails. The man and the beast within were fighting. Rashi, we need to draw the darkness from you, Menma said. We need you to. You know, kid, you look a lot like Minato Namikaze, Rashi hissed, cutting the child off. I hate Minato Namikaze. The last part was punctuated by a roar as Rashi entered the second stage of his demon cloak. Not good, Menma thought. It was not good in the slightest. Both Rashi and the Four Tails were tainted by the Zero Tails darkness. Alone, this would do little more than cause depression or a berserker rage without a target. However, they had a target, Menma. As Rashi said, Menma looked like Minato Namikaze. Minato was responsible for the deaths of most IWA shinobi during the war, including many from Rashi's village. The Four Tails, for its part, sensed the essence of the Zero Tails, an old foe it knew and didn't like. This left them with a single goal: destroy the enemy. Menma jumped back as the enraged beast attacked. Like all tailed beasts, they had a unique ability, lava. Shit! Menma exclaimed as he jumped again. That was all he could do against the enraged Jinchuriki. Menma didn't want to hurt him since he was under the influence of darkness. Even if he wanted to, Menma only possessed less than a tail's worth of power thanks to the seal. Rashi, on the other hand, possessed 4 tails and the added darkness. We are trying to help you, Menma shouted. You're not yourself, the darkness is affecting you. You share the same likeness of that man, Rashi shouted. It was true, even with his transformation, Menma was still Naruto. Don't compare us to that bastard, Menma snapped. We are nothing like him. Lies, Rashi declared. You must be destroyed. He must be destroyed. All things of him must be destroyed. Menma finally stopped dodging. All things would include his brother, sister, and grandmother. Forget that. He would go on the offensive. No one is hurting our precious people. Menma began summoning Darkness Chakra. Dark Swarm. A swarm of leeches squirmed from Menma's shadow. Just like with Shino, the leeches attacked and grew bigger. The difference was that these didn't self-destruct when attacked or full of chakra, they just continued their assault. Menma watched as the darkness-possessed Rashi tried to fend off the swarm. As hard as he tried, they continued their assault, reaching the size of a full-grown snake with his chakra output. Menma was sure of his victory until he heard a single clap. Lava armor. Just as the name stated, Rashi was covered in an armor of pure lava. Menma watched as his leeches burned to nothing. The lava-covered man began a full stampede toward Menma in a blind fury. Shadow Cloak. A cloak of darkness covered the boy, hanging off him loosely like black smoke. They both pulled their arms back and swung, their elemental fists meeting in a powerful collision, and the world fell away. Menma looked around and saw that he was no longer on the battlefield. He was in a lake, or rather, on it. "Where the hell are we?" Menma asked. His answer was a roar of pain and anger. Menma looked behind him and came face to face with the four-tailed monkey. Something's wrong, Menma realized. The monkey had large patches of darkness covering various parts of him. Looking closely, Menma saw that they were swarms of tiny leeches. Now he understood, they were draining him of his power. "Return," Menma commanded. Without a moment's hesitation, the darkness returned. The leeches flew toward Menma and swarmed around him. Menma felt a sensation of power flow into him as the leeches returned. It wasn't just the darkness, something else came with them. He felt an emotional gain with the power, a sense of pride that he had only ever felt for his precious family. "So you came to steal my power," the monkey stated, breaking Menma from his thoughts. "No, Yanbai-san," Menma replied. Don't call me that," the four-tails snapped. "I am not identified by my tails. I am Son Goku." "The tailed beasts have names?" Menma thought, then mentally smacked himself. Of course they have names, they aren't mindless. He felt ashamed, thinking otherwise was something Minato would do. "I apologize," Menma bowed. This action baffled the giant red ape. Humans had always tried to enslave him, but this one was different. "What are you planning?" Sun mumbled. "I am searching for the tailed beasts and their Jinchuriki," Menma answered. "I need to warn them of an organization called the Akatsuki." "We already know," a third voice cut in. The two entities snapped their heads toward Rashi. The man had a few stray leeches on his body, which Menma drew back in. "You know?" Menma asked. "Then we need to get you somewhere safe." The man and monkey looked at each other before turning back to the boy. "Boy, who would take in a person like me?" Rashi asked skeptically. "Even if they did, it would just be for the Four Tails power." "I told you not to call me that," the Four Tails snapped. "There has to be a place where." "Why do you care?" Rashi asked. "You already have what you came for," the Four Tails stated. This confused Menma. He didn't have anything. "You've stolen my power." Now he understood. "Yes, Gaku-san, we got some of the power we wanted, but..." "So you admit it," he roared. The giant monkey reached out with his large hand. Unlike the Nine Tails, the Four Tails didn't have a cage to hold him back. The monkey nearly grabbed Menma in his powerful grip, missing by inches only thanks to the chains that bound him. "We had no intention of stealing your power," the boy clarified. "We fully intended to earn it from you, and only a tail." He felt the power he had already gained. "We didn't get enough, less than a tail, actually. We need more." "And how would you do that?" Rashi asked. "That ape is so stingy with his power that it nearly cost us our lives." "You mean your life," Gaku corrected. "I would just reform." Menma watched as the two continued their bickering. "I'm not dealing with this," he thought. "Boy," Rashi called. "Why do you speak as if you were more than one person?" "We are," Menma answered. "We are both the Zero Tails and Naruto Senju." He made sure to emphasize his last name. "We are bonded closer than you two." "That leech isn't one to trust," Gaku warned. "He just wants to." "We know," Menma cut in. "We are helping." "What's going on?" Rashi asked. "The Zero Tails is a leech demon who wants to become whole again," Menma explained. "To do that, it must merge with the other tailed beasts." "That would return us to the 10 tails," Gaku retorted. "We would lose ourselves." "That is why we request only a tail of power," Menma explained. "From there, we can collect all 9, with the 0 being the 10th. He'd still be the 10 tails, and you all stay you." "But the 10 tails wouldn't be as powerful as it once was," Rashi stated. "No way would it be content with just a fraction of its power." "Time will return its power," Menma stated. "War and suffering are constant, it will grow quickly." The Four Tails eyed the boy skeptically. "What do you get out of this?" "We get power." "I knew it," the Four Tails roared. "You humans are all..." "Wait," Rashi cut in. "What will you do with the power?" Menma didn't need to think of an answer. To him, it was as plain as day. "We will use it to protect our precious people," Menma answered. In a village far away, a red-headed girl felt a pleasant shudder. "Are you thinking of me, brother?" she asked aloud. "What?" Noeki asked. "Nothing," Mito replied. "Just thinking of our brother." As soon as she said these words, she came to regret it. A chakra chain wrapped itself around her and began to squeeze until she screamed. "I told you I'm your only brother," he yelled. Mito stared at the boy who called himself her brother. He hadn't held that title since Tsunade told her of his betrayal to Naruto. He was just like their father. "Come home, brother," she begged. "I'm so alone." Ever since Naruto's departure, the world had become so much crueler. The Four Tails looked at the child before him. He couldn't have been older than 9, yet he held such passion and pride, Gaku added. Four Tails respected pride. He hated arrogance but respected pride. Boy, how much of my power did you gain? The Four Tails asked. Menma felt for it. A whole tail. Do you want it back? Gaku felt that if he had said yes, the child would have returned it. Instead, he answered, no. How would you like to earn it? Both humans looked at the red ape. We're listening. Free me from these chains, Gaku spoke, and I will give you the power. Menma made his way toward the monkey, only for Rashi to block his path. That is a bad idea, Rashi warned. Everyone deserves freedom, Menma spoke. The child jumped into the primate's hand and was leveled with the chains. He placed a hand on one and called for the darkness. Corruption. The once pure chains of Fuinjutsu that held the Four Tails began to erode, taking on a blackish tint before they fell away. Freedom, Gaku bellowed. Now you've done it. Rashi spoke as he tensed. The giant monkey reached out with his large hand. Without his chains, the Four Tails had nothing to hold him back. The monkey grabbed Rashi in his powerful grip. The man couldn't hold back his scream of pain. It was as if he was being burned by mere contact with the large beast, which was actually worse because Rashi had never been burned a day in his life. Being the host of the Four Tails would have made such a thing unprideful for the great monkey. Take your stinking paws off me, Rashi screamed. You damn dirty ape. This outburst shocked everyone, even Rashi. The Four Tails was so shocked that he released the man. Need damage control. This is no time to be fighting yourselves. The two looked at him. Oh, who should I blame for my imprisonment? Not Rashi, Menma answered. If he's anything like most hosts, he didn't have a choice. The four-tailed beast looked at the red-headed man as he stood up. I didn't want this any more than you did, Gaku, Rashi admitted, not looking at either of them. Remember, my life was hell. What did you say? Gaku asked in disbelief. Nothing, Rashi mumbled. You said my name, Gaku spoke in wonder. You say that as if it was a great event, Menma cut in. That's the first time he ever said my name, my actual name, the Four Tails explained. The man paused, as if considering it. To his shock, it was completely true. I've always known your name, Rashi admitted. I've just never been soft-hearted enough to use it. What changed? That would probably be us, Menma spoke up, all eyes on him. When we took the darkness from you, we took your negative emotions. The red monkey studied the boy before him. He placed his fist out. What? Menma was confused by the action. Bump fist, Rashi spoke. Tailed beasts only do this to show respect or give something. The last time he saw Gaku do this, he gained enough respect to use the tailed beast's power. Menma placed his fist against the monkey's. This was different from before when he gained the raw power and prideful emotions. This time he felt something hot and powerful. I give you my power, Gaku spoke. Use it well. With those words, Menma was sent from the mindscape. What the hell? Menma looked at the man next to him as he awoke. The monkey expelled us. How? Rashi asked. It's my mind, but it's his home, Menma retorted. Rashi looked at the boy cryptically. Kid, how old are you? Because you speak with the wisdom of an old man. We're only 9, Menma exclaimed. Well, kid, you should get going, Rashi spoke. Going? You're searching for the tailed beasts, right? Rashi asked. I recommend Mist. Why Mist? You should find someone from the Terumi clan, they could help you use your new abilities, Rashi explained. They are also a village with a tailed beast, the Three Tails. Unfortunately, the Six Tails is gone, he's a rogue, if I remember correctly. He gave the boy a thoughtful look. They are in a civil war, so you should be able to get in easily enough. Menma understood the part about the tailed beast, but why did he need training? Rashi seemed to see his confusion. The red-headed man pointed down, and Menma followed with his eyes. The ground beneath them was turning into a puddle of magma. The first thing Menma did was scream and thrash around, even letting his shadows flow without control. It wasn't until Rashi placed a hand on him that he realized something important. He wasn't burning. It's a gift from the old monkey, Rashi explained. You can now use lava style. Sweet! Menma exclaimed. This is so cool, hot. Rashi watched as the boy examined his new abilities. For the first time since they met, Menma was acting like a child his age, fascinated by having superpowers and the like. Wait, can't you train us? Menma asked. The man gave a disappointing sigh. No, I have to deal with the Akatsuki. Then let us help you, Menma begged. We can defeat them together. I'm sorry, child, but this is out of your league, Rashi explained before mumbling. I'm sure it's out of mine as well. He put on a false smile for the boy. Besides, you have 8 other tailed beasts to find. Menma wanted to argue but knew it would be pointless. He's right anyway, Menma thought. He needed to continue with the plan. We're off to Mist. Menma was making his way toward the hidden Mist village, a long journey mostly because they were called hidden villages for a reason. For all he knew, he was halfway to IWA. If Menma had shinobi directions, he would have found the place. Instead, he was in the same position as a civil. A tense standoff. I think we should be going, Menma said. He turned to leave, but Ao blocked his path. Kojuro drew a weapon from his back, bracing for a fight. The weapon radiated a raw, powerful chakra that made Menma's blood run cold. He was confident he could handle Kojuro, but Ao was another story. Though Ao had more chakra than both of them combined, his inexperience made him unpredictable and dangerous. Menma quickly hatched a new plan. Are you two really going to team up to beat up a 9-year-old? He asked. Yes, Ao replied flatly. Damn. Menma knew he wasn't ready for this confrontation and needed to end it quickly. He charged Kojuro, betting on him being the weaker opponent. He used the one technique Rashi had taught him, lava-style, scorching rocks jutsu. Menma's cheek expanded as he launched the attack, expelling 3 boulders of solidified lava from his mouth. The sudden jutsu shocked the two mist ninja. Ao, with his years of experience, was the first to react. Look out, Kojuro, he shouted, snapping the boy out of his stupor. Kojuro held his ground, swinging his sword. He deflected 2 of the molten rocks, but the third grazed his side. Ao, meanwhile, was already moving to Menma's blind spot. However, the boulders Kojuro had deflected were now flying straight toward Ao. He dodged both but was left open. Menma seized the opportunity, stepping into Ao's guard and reaching for his face with a darkness-covered hand. Before he could make contact, a blow to his side sent him flying into a tree, knocking the wind out of him. It was Kojuro, who, despite his burn, was still fighting. Menma stood up to continue, only to hear the sound of slow clapping. The mysterious woman. All 3 men turned to see a beautiful young woman with long, auburn hair. She wore a long-sleeved, dark blue dress and walked with a noticeable sway in her hips. She stopped a foot away from Menma, her gaze a mix of emotions that he couldn't decipher. She began to rub Menma's face, as if to confirm he was real, her touch growing more affectionate. Can we help you? Menma asked, fighting a blush. He failed. No, she replied, still rubbing his face. But maybe I can help you. Menma remembered his grandmother's advice for this exact situation. Taking a deep breath, he said, we need an adult. The woman smiled. I am an adult. Before Menma could reply, she kneed him in the stomach, and everything went black. Interrogation and revelation. Menma awoke in a tent, his arms and legs bound by chakra wire tied to the ceiling. The more he struggled, the tighter they became. Sighing, he managed to crawl out of the tent, finding himself still in the same woods. So you're awake, a sweet voice said. He turned to see the woman who had knocked him out. She was smiling, but her eyes were sharp and watchful. Can you show it to me? She asked sweetly. Show you what? Menma replied nervously. Come on, you know what, she pressed. He glanced at Ao and Kojuro, who looked just as uncomfortable as he felt. I'll show you mine if you show me yours, she offered, causing Menma's blush to intensify. With renewed vigor, he struggled against the wire, ignoring the pain. It's easier if you just accept that you lost, Ao said. Back in my day, people with your innocence were kept safe, not fighting to the death. Accept, lost, innocence, death. The woman misheard. What does he think I am, a pervert? Ao, the woman said in an overly sweet tone. Shut up, or I'll kill you. Ao took the hint and fell silent. The woman gave Menma a reassuring smile before standing up. I know these are hard times for our kind, she said calmly. But you are among friends here. Our kind? Menma asked, wondering if they were all perverts. You know, bloodline users, Kojuro explained. Oh, we're not a bloodline user, Menma said, relieved. It's something else. He felt he had already said too much to these confusing strangers who had just assaulted him. Not a bloodline user, the woman asked sadly, a wave of loneliness and dread washing over Menma. It was clear she had placed a lot of hope in him being one. Then why are you searching for a Terumi? Ao asked. We'll only tell that to a Terumi, Menma answered, holding firm. Until we speak to one, we won't say anything. A tough guy, huh, the woman said. Well, welcome to the revolution. She then cut him down. I am Mei, last of the Terumi clan. Menma's eyes widened. Mei Terumi? As in, the only natural dual-wielding bloodline user? Mei nodded, shocked when Menma let out a fanboy squeal. He had read about her in Konoha, a kunoichi with 2 bloodlines who was considered one of the greatest in existence. We're huge fans, he exclaimed. You're amazing. Oh, Menma-kun, Mei blushed. You're flattering me too much. Can we have an autograph? He asked. Pleasantries later, Ao interjected. Why are you looking for a Terumi? Menma looked at the uptight man. May we speak to you alone? He asked Mei. Absolutely not. Ao exclaimed. Ao, are you suggesting I can't protect myself from a child? She asked with a dangerously sweet tone. Ao immediately left the tent, dragging Kojuro by the neck. You really have them in line, Menma noted. Why are you looking for me? Mei asked, tapping his headband. This says you're a long way from home. We were looking for a Terumi to train us, Menma answered, telling a half-truth. We recently gained the lava element and need proper training. How long are you going to play captive? Mei asked, her pleasant demeanor replaced by a professional one. What do you mean? He asked, feigning ignorance. You're too calm, she replied. That means you're confident in your abilities. Menma sighed in defeat, then smiled. Using his darkness power, he corrupted the wire, snapping it. Was that corrosion style? Mei asked, hope returning to her eyes. No, Menma answered. Then I really am alone, she mumbled. What happened here? Menma asked, referring to the village. Why is it in such despair? I'll try to be polite, Menma-kun, she said. But you are a prisoner here. We are the ones asking questions, understood? Menma considered leaving but decided against it, he needed her help. We understand. Good, she said sweetly. How can you use lava style if you aren't a bloodline user? It was given to us by a friend, he answered. Who is this friend? She pressed. Menma remained silent. He admired Mei, but she was still holding him captive, and he wouldn't betray a fellow Jinchuriki. Sensing his refusal, she relented. Fine, she said. Why come to Kiri? There are others who can use it in IWA and Kumo. Our friend told us to come here, he answered. Besides, those aren't true lava styles. One uses rubber, the other uses quicklime. How is that lava? Mei couldn't help but laugh. So you need training in true lava? Yes. Will you help us? No, she answered, all kindness gone. What you're asking for are clan's secrets I may have to take to my grave. Menma felt Ribi's presence. I can take them from her. We can get the knowledge and leave. But Menma remembered that a clan's secrets were to be guarded until death. We understand, he said, defeated. We'll be on our way. Mei didn't try to stop him, holding the tent flap open for him. He looked around and realized Mei had brought him to the slums of Kiri, filled with dilapidated buildings and people sleeping on the streets. What will you do now? Mei asked. We need to find the host of the Sanbai, he answered without thinking. What? Mei asked harshly. Why would you be looking for me? Another voice asked. The Mizukage's confrontation. Yagura, the Mizukage, stood before them. He recognized Mei, his sworn enemy and the leader of the rebellion, but not the young boy beside her. You are the host of the Zero Tails? Yagura asked. Are you the host of the Three Tails? Menma countered. Neither wanted to answer first. Menma-kun, get behind me. Mei hissed. Why? He asked. He felt the fear and anger radiating from her and the other two men, who were now ready for battle. This man is the Mizukage, she growled. The one who started the Bloodline Wars, Ao added. Bloodline Wars? Menma asked. He knew Kiri was in a civil war, but not about this. That abomination beside you is corrupting my village, Yagura said, staring at Menma. I have decided to take up a crusade against that filth. I will purge them from my lands before doing the same to the other villages. Yagura looked at Menma. You've been attracted by the darkness here. The Sanbai reacted to you. What is the Sanbai's name? Menma asked. Who cares about the demon? Yagura replied. It's just a weapon. They all are, even the Zero Tails. Menma stared in disbelief. That is the dumbest thing we have ever heard. I couldn't expect a kid to understand, Yagura sighed. Oh, we understand, Menma shot back. You're purposefully weakening your own village because of your hatred, and then in your weakened state, you want to start a war with everyone. It's just asking for this village's destruction. Back in my day, Mizukages were. Ao started. Not the time, Ao. Mei snapped. I must thank you, Yagura said with a smile, ignoring Mei. You've given me two things I could only have hoped for, the head of those filthy bloodline users leader, and another weapon. He offered, join me. I can teach you to control your beast, and we can purge these beings from the earth. You are the opposite of him, Menma snarled, but the exact same as that man. The air grew thick with tension as they all prepared for battle. Mei-sama, we will hold him off while you return to base, Ao said. No, she stated. I will not abandon you. Mei-sama, you have to understand your duty to the rebellion, Kojuro pleaded. If you die, so will our will to fight. You are the one who will lead us out of the age of the bloody mist. Then I order you to return alive and well, she said with a heavy heart, before turning to leave. Ao and Kojuro charged Yagura. Ao with a kunao, and Kojuro with his spade-shaped weapon. Yagura drew his staff and used the water-style water mirror jutsu, creating a pool of water that perfectly reflected and created clones of his opponents. The clones clashed with the originals, distracting them long enough for Yagura to bypass them, delivering a non-fatal blow to Ao, knocking him unconscious. Kojuro appeared behind the Mizukage, his weapon glowing with chakra and transformed into a massive sword through the Hiramekure unleashing longsword technique. He struck Yagura's back. Why did he just take the attack? Menma wondered, but his confusion was short-lived. Yagura barely moved. You're a fool, he said. I am the host of the three-tailed turtle. An attack on my back is pointless. He punched Kojuro in the stomach. If you had at least used the hammer model, you could have sent me flying. Kojuro collapsed. Yagura continued after Mei. Menma, feeling ignored, followed. Mei had a head start, but it wasn't enough. Yagura caught up to her at a lake. This is the worst place for a battle against the Three Tails host, Menma said as he arrived. Menma-kun? What are you doing here? Mei asked, shocked. We're here to help. Get out of here. This is no place for a child, she screamed. She's right, Yagura said. This war is none of your concern. It is our concern, Menma said with conviction. We will not abandon you to someone like him, to someone like that man. Mei was stunned by the venom in his voice. We ask you again, what is the Sanbai's name? Menma repeated. My answer is the same. You aren't worthy of being a Jinchuriki, Menma whispered. Step aside, boy, Yagura ordered. No, Menma said. He turned to Mei and gave her an ear-to-ear smile. We may be attracted to darkness, but we are not evil. You are the source of hope we have been feeling. We can't let you die. Leave, I'll hold him off. He'll kill you, Mei exclaimed. I agree, Yagura said with a sigh. I will show you my power. When I am done, I hope you will have seen the error of your choice. If not, you die. Leave, Menma shouted, beginning to concentrate. Yagura watched, assessing the boy's ability to manipulate darkness. Through the dark-style, malleable chakra technique, Menma created a sword. He wasn't a master swordsman but was a quick study. I need to be fast, he thought. Using the darkness as a booster, he dashed toward Yagura and slashed at his side. Yagura blocked it easily with his staff. No way. This sword should have cut through his staff. That was a strong blow, Yagura said. Do you have a bloodline? Menma backed away. No, we weren't lucky enough to be born with one. The Mizu cage disappeared and reappeared a foot from Menma, firing a condensed ball of water from his mouth using water-style, liquid bullets. Menma narrowly dodged it by pushing himself away with darkness. He activated dark-style, shadow cloak, a shroud of darkness that protected and attacked with him. He pushed himself behind the Mizu cage and swung his sword. Yagura simply ducked. Menma sent a shrouded fist toward the cage, who leaned his head to the side. The shadows continued, pulling Menma along until he was once again behind the Mizu cage. He caught Yagura just as the cage turned, delivering a powerful blow to the face. The hit was enough to draw blood from the stun cage, and Menma thought, got him. Things are moving nicely, Menma thought as he watched Yagura stand, completely unfazed by the blow. He should be feeling that. Menma propelled himself forward using the shadow darkness, punching the ground to kick up a blinding cloud of dust. With the opening, Menma jabbed his sword forward, but missed by a hair's breadth. It may as well have been a yard. Yagura raised his staff and brought it down, forcing Menma to just barely disperse himself into the darkness to escape the attack. Damn it, we need more power. Menma raged. Maybe. He began to call upon the Yanbai's power, and a small sheet of magma formed on his left fist. It hardened into a fist-like sheet that dripped lava, a makeshift weapon he had little to no control over but was all he could muster. Menma pushed himself forward again, fist drawn and ready, and collided with Yagura's fist. Instead of entering Yagura's mindscape, he saw a spiral mask and a single Sharingan. He remembered that man. It was the same one who had helped Itake massacre the Uchiha clan and hurt Mikado-chan. Begone, the man said. What? Menma exclaimed. He looked down and saw Yagura's fist was also coated, but where Menma had lava, the Mizu cage had coral. You didn't use hand signs, Yagura stated with distaste. Are you a bloodline user? We wish. Menma answered, adding more pressure to his fist. Yagura simply added more to his and forced the child back. Need space, Menma mumbled as he jumped back. Not happening, Yagura's voice said from behind him. The Mizu cage raised his staff and began beating against Menma's dark sword. Blow after blow, each one faster and stronger than the last, was delivered to the child, who could barely block them. We know he's a cage, but we shouldn't be this far behind, Menma thought angrily. He raised his left fist and tried to punch the cage, but the Mizu cage simply moved past him and hooked the curved end of his staff into Menma's shirt. Without any sign of exertion, he yanked on the weapon, sending the boy flying into the lake. Menma, who did not know the water walking technique, needed his shadows to stay afloat. Do you see why that filthy blooded woman ran? Yagura asked. She knew she was inferior to me, nothing but trash. He seemed to be searching for another set of words. They aren't special enough, special enough, special enough, special enough. As soon as those words hit Menma's ears, something snapped. Those words, just like that man? Menma snarled. Just like Minato. The black-haired boy began to scream into the sky. The scream soon became a roar of a beast. The darkness around Menma began to shudder and swarm around him. His chakra began to flare to its maximum heights, enough to make his left fist of lava shatter. Together, the chakra and darkness consumed the child. What was left was a black beast made of chakra with two serpentine-like tails flowing behind it. On its face wasn't the detail of some kind of animal, all that was seen was a no mask. "So this is the Zero Tails," Yagura stated. "Impressive, it looks like a stage 2 transformation." The beast began pumping the darkness into the air. It came out similar to the cloak in a smoke-like state, creating a perfect smokescreen for the beast. Lava-style, scorching rocks jutsu. With the smokescreen, it was the perfect chance to fire. The Mizu cage simply waved through the attack before they connected. "You have such little control that I don't need to be a censor," he said, eyeing the direction of the beast. "This is my last offer, join me or die." The beast ran forward and punched the Mizu cage in the face, but he didn't budge. Instead, the Mizu cage had a small but powerful chakra covering him. It looked like an aura of chakra flames was covering him. "I give you gratitude for forcing me to use the initial state," Yagura spoke. "But with the little control and skill you have, it'll be all I need to end this." He raised his staff, coated with the Sanbai's chakra. In a swift move, he dug it deep into the beast. Both returned to their regular forms as Menma hit the water. "You sided with those filths?" the Mizu cage asked. "Why?" Menma took a moment before answering. He was too exhausted and in too much pain to continue. I envy them." "What?" Yagura asked, shocked. "They are so unique," he answered. "They don't know how special they are. People would have killed for what they have. Now you will die for what they have." Yagura snarled. "Lava-style, lava globs." Menma closed his eyes as his consciousness began to fade. The last thing he saw was a ball of lava hit his attacker in the face and a rain of kunao. "Zero?" Menma called. "You are a fool," the cocoon snapped. "What do you mean?" Menma asked, taken back. "Do you know why you lost?" the cocoon asked. "Why did you try to fight him alone? What made you think you could win?" "We had the darkness, lava, and two tails of power," Menma answered. "Why was I so overwhelmed?" "Because he's stronger," the cocoon snapped. "Just because you have the power doesn't mean you can control it. Have you forgotten why we came to Kiri, for training?" "But, Menma was at a loss for words. "Yagura is a cage for a reason, Menma." The cocoon began to calm itself before speaking again. "Even without the Sanbai's power, he has more experience than you do. You are only 9 years old." Menma was beginning to understand. "But why were we so overwhelmed?" "As Ayane said, you have no control," the cocoon explained. "You kept pumping chakra everywhere but into a proper attack." "I'm sorry," Menma spoke. "Don't be," it spoke. "You fought hard and never even thought of surrendering, be proud." "I am." Menma cheered. "Good, now leave." Menma opened his eyes, relieved to see he wasn't in a prison cell. He was in what looked to be an underground bunker. He was a little upset about being kicked out of his own mind. "We need to have a talk about that." Finally awake? He turned to see Mei Terumi. "Are Ao and Kojuro okay?" Menma asked. This shocked the woman in front of him. He's more worried about others before himself, she thought. "Yes, they are alive and well," she answered with a smile. As if they were waiting for an entrance, both entered the room and took their positions on either side of Mei. "Yagura is as sometimes merciful on non-bloodline users," Kojuro spoke. Ao gained a cold look in his single eye. This was one of those rare moments. "We saw him get hit with lava and kunaos," Menma exclaimed. "Is he dead? Is the war over?" Mei could see the hope and glee in his eyes. It was wiped away when he saw the look on her face. "He is still alive," she answered. "We were only able to hold him off long enough for someone to save Ao, Kojuro, and you." "We see," was his only response. "How do you feel?" she asked, changing the subject. Menma stood and stretched out his kinks. He was at full health, one of the things about being a Jinchuriki, a great healing factor. "Great," Menma answered. "We'll be leaving now." "What?" Mei more screamed than asked. "What?" Menma yelled, taking a defensive position. "This is not good," Mei thought with dread. Mei had thought that the boy was going to fight in the wars with them, to help end it. She had seen what he could do, he was powerful. With a little grudge, she would admit he was more powerful than her. They needed him to fight for them, with them. Menma looked at the lady who suddenly went deep into thought. He could feel a sudden wave of dread roll off her, and not just her. He could feel it from the two standing behind her. "Mei-chan, what's wrong?" he asked, adding the suffix without notice. "I thought you were going to fight with us," she admitted. Menma now understood her meaning. He felt like an ass. "No, we must keep going," he answered. "We need to continue our own goals." "But Menma, you would be a great asset for the rebellion," she pleaded. "We are on a losing side of a genocide." She grabbed and pulled him close. With your help, we can save hundreds of thousands of lives. From now to generations to come. We're sorry, Menma sighed. But the answer is no. Why won't you aid us? Kojuro asked. Simple, and please forgive our answer, Menma spoke, hoping not to offend them. There is little in it for us, you little shit. Ao shouted in outrage. Back in my day, shinobi had a thing called loyalty and duty. He grabbed Menma by the shoulders and slammed him into the walls. Do you think you're too special to aid us? Menma's eyes snapped open into a fierce glare. He grabbed Ao by both of his wrists and squeezed. Corruption, body. The dark chakra began to slowly spread across Ao's arms, causing him an agony he had never felt in his life. He tried to pull back, but the child never let go. Listen here, you need us, we don't need you, Menma growled out. So tell us, why should we aid a village that couldn't protect itself? Especially with a man who can't accept that his day has passed. If it's so bad, why not leave? Any village will take in a bloodline. He tightened his grip on Ao. Tell us. It's our home. Ao shouted over the pain. That's enough. Kojuro spoke, weapon drawn. Menma let him go. He didn't want to become enemies of the rebellion. He pulled the darkness back into himself. Please Menma-kun, Mei spoke softly. Is there nothing we can offer to change your mind? The question caused Menma's mind to start racing a mile a minute. This was his chance to get something useful. First things first, he needed to be sure. You still refuse to teach us the lava style? He asked. He could see the strain on Mei's face as she had an inner struggle. It was a battle of her love for her family and her duty to her followers. Eventually, she came to a decision, one side won. Yes, I refuse, she spoke, straightening up. I would rather see my clan fade away with silent dignity than to be lost along with its respect. Menma looked at the lady with growing respect. He involuntarily grabbed his necklace as he had his own inner debate. You'd hate me if I turned down their need for help, wouldn't you, Mito? He thought as he mentally kicked himself. After all, our brother is a bloodline user. Fine, he spoke. We will aid you. What's the sea catch? Ao asked as the pain continued to flare up. Smart man, Menma spoke. We want compensation. Like what? Mei asked with mixed feelings. We can't offer you much money, we'll be broke after the war. Not money, Menma spoke. We want 3 things. Mei took a deep breath as she prepared for the worst. Begin. We want a headband, Menma spoke, shocking them. You want to become a Kiri Nin? Mei asked with growing happiness. Yes and no, Menma answered. We want a place here to return to if the need arises, for us and a few others. A precaution for the future, if you will. He gave Mei a deadlock stare. I'm asking for asylum. That was a vague statement, it couldn't help but raise a few eyebrows. What are you planning? Ao asked. What are your goals? It was a question that all of them never knew they wanted the answer to. Menma only chuckled as he wagged his fingers at them, one of the universal signs for no. He wasn't going to tell. We want 10 Kiri Jutsu, no matter the rank or clan, he said, cutting Mei off before she could protest. We won't take from clans with living members, understand? They did, he wanted Jutsu from dead clans. There could be no problems from the dead. With a bit of reluctance, she nodded. What's the final price? A cage's favor, he answered. Whenever we call it in, we want it. Mei was a little reluctant to agree to the last one, more so than the others. It was for a good reason as well. A cage's favor was their word, to break it would put the entire village in a bad light. Agreed, she finally spoke. I'll have a contract written up. Mei-sama, I beg you to reconsider, Ao protested. This favor could go as far as war, he stated. You must understand that. Of course I do, she spoke too sweetly. Do you think I don't understand the situation we're in? Back me up Kojuro, Ao pleaded. All eyes turned to the nervous boy. He just shook his head, he wanted no part in this. I can't believe this, he whined. I may be old, but I'm not so old that I'll be muscled by a child. This may be what he said, but not what Mei heard. Old. So old, child. She heard. Is he saying I'm too old to have children? She made her way behind the man. Ao, she growled. Shut up, or I'll kill you. I think I'll go write up the contract, he whimpered as he practically crawled away. She turned her eyes towards Kojuro. Leave us, I have things I need to discuss. The young swordsman was happy to leave. Mei turned her attention to Menma. From the look in her eyes, he knew it would be serious. Menma-kun, she started in all seriousness. Am I pretty? The child did a faceplant that would rival an adult's. What kind of? Answer me, she snapped. Why yes, he answered. Are all women this scary? Good, she cheered. I need you, she spoke seriously as she rubbed his face. You have something in you, something I want. She leaned in closer. I need it, Menma-kun, I crave it. We need an adult. I am an adult, she replied. And a lonely one. What now? Menma-kun, she began sadly. I am the last Terumi, the last of both my clans. I don't want my family to die out. Menma looked at the woman, she was near hysterics. It was partially his fault, he had brought up her decision. From the way she was talking, she was asking for one thing. We're only 9, Menma stated. But you possess the lava style, she stated happily. Our children could keep my clans alive. We're only 9. I can wait a while, she explained. I'm not ready just yet, I have a life to live as well. She smiled. I don't just want kids, I want a family. This confused Menma. What's the difference? It took Mei a moment to remember something important. He was only 9. He acted as if he were a young adult. Menma, she spoke slowly. I want to write up a marriage contract between us. She cut him off. It wouldn't be in effect until you were 16, she reasoned. She cut him off again. You may also take on any woman you want, she desperately added. A harem as big as you want. We accept, he shouted before she could cut him off again. Also wait, what? She was shocked he agreed. Why? You are a strong-willed woman who cares for her people, Menma answered, making her blush. That, along with the fact you're just plain beautiful. He gave her a kind smile. How could we not fall for you? Loving you shouldn't be too hard. All of the other offers will stay in effect, she added. Plus she nearly shouted. If we are married, my clan style will be accessible to you. We thank you, he added. We'll want a big family. He looked her in the eyes. You know, you had us at contract. Mei stared at the boy before her. He was a gift from the heavens. He was capable of using the lava style to its truest name. He cared about other people, not just his own selfish goals. He was just plain adorable. She grabbed the boy and raised him to eye level. Then let's seal it with a kiss. When Ao and Kojuro returned, they saw a hilarious sight. Mei was reapplying her lipstick. Menma had a goofy smile and a faraway look on his face, and several kiss marks covered 80% of his face. She finally noticed their return. Kojuro, she called. I want you to train Menma-kun in the 7 swordsman style. Wait a second, Ao spoke, only to be ignored. What's wrong with the style I have? Menma asked. It was atrocious, Mei answered. No husband of mine will look that bad. It wasn't that bad, he whined. It was. Wait a second, Ao tried again. Ao, I want you to write up a marriage contract, Mei ordered. Wait a second. Yes Ao, is there something you want to say? She asked, too sweetly. The scary part is it was sweeter than any other time. What do you want the contract to say? Yagura was sitting in his office, letting his wounds heal. That filthy-blooded bitch. He growled. She had returned with reinforcements, he hadn't expected that. He thought she would have been smart and hid away behind her pathetic army. She didn't. Instead, she returned and attacked him when he wasn't looking. Then her people swarmed him and forced him to retreat. One man, even a cage, couldn't fight a swarm of bloodline users. Now he was licking his wounds. It made him look bad as Mizu Cage. Something like that wouldn't have been too difficult if the Sanbai had cooperated. Unfortunately, the beast wanted to be difficult. It had been acting like that ever since he started the rebellion. Work faster, turtle, he ordered. This was an instance of the beast's defiance. There was a time that a wound like this would have been healed hours ago. Now the beast was taking its sweet time. They made one fatal mistake, he thought cruelly. Now that he was familiar with the Zero Tails chakra, he could use the Sanbai to find it. If he found the boy, he would find the rebellion's base of operation and finally end this war. Work faster, he thought. Okay Menma-kun, Mei spoke. Let's begin your training. There is a faster way, Menma spoke. We could learn everything you could teach us in a matter of seconds, if you agree. The thought of him learning it all appealed to her, it would save more time for business. But his wording at the end of the statement caught her attention. Why wouldn't I agree, Menma-kun? She asked. Menma looked at the woman before him, his wife-to-be. If I can't trust her, who can I trust? He thought. He wanted no secrets in a relationship. Tell us, Mei-chan, Menma began. What do you know of the 9-tailed beasts and the zero-tailed leech? Menma began telling her of his plan, his goals. He didn't give her the names of his family, village, or even his real name. He just told her the basis of it all. He was doing it to protect his little sister and make his father pay. Menma didn't tell her everything. He didn't want secrets between them, but some would be needed. To her, he would just be Menma. Wow, was all she said. I agree, a voice spoke. They both turned their heads to see both Ao and Kojuro. Menma didn't know what to do. His biggest secrets were out to them. He should choose. It's okay, Menma-kun, Mei spoke. These two have been with me since the beginning, I trust them with my life. Well, okay, so you can just learn anything? Kojuro asked in fascination. Yes and no, Menma answered. We can only learn the stuff we're taking. We can't take what's not there. He explained. Then we need to actually be able to perform the tasks. Then why didn't you take the lava-style information when you had the chance? Ao asked. We aren't going to do things that way, Menma answered. When we look at our accomplishments, we don't want any regrets. We don't want our sister to be ashamed. Mei looked at the boy in front of her. I chose right, she thought. Okay, I'll ask the question, Ao spoke. How do we know any of this is true? He asked skeptically. He could just be a bloodline user, ashamed of what he is. Want to meet Zero? Menma asked. Why you can do that? Kojuro asked. A purple slime substance began to coat Menma's arms. From the slime formed 3 tendrils. Each tendril made its way into each of the adults' minds. When they regained consciousness inside of Menma's mindscape, they were shocked. What's going on? Ao muttered, or join Yagura. Ao, just, shut up, she sighed. There were no threats of death this time. She was too broken for that. If anyone looked closely, they would see how hurt she was. Mei had just betrayed her clan for a near impossible hope, a hope she shouldn't have believed in. Now my people will be wiped out, she thought. All because of me. She had never felt so low. Nothing we can do about it, Ao said. I'll prepare the troops. No, Mei said firmly. I'll fight Yagura alone. What? That's insane, Ao exclaimed. You can't kill him by yourself, he has an army. I know, she agreed. But I can buy the rebellion enough time. Enough time for what? Kojuro asked. To escape. But, Ao, you're in charge of the rebellion now, she said. Someone like you should have no trouble being a leader. Without another word, she left the bunker. Menma hadn't abandoned them. The thought had never crossed his mind, or if it had, he'd crushed it instantly. He had just gone to get some much-needed help. He used the shadows as a form of transportation to get where he needed to be. Mei stood on top of their base, a nearly 50-story building at the edge of the village, right under Yagura's nose. She could see them in the distance, or at least what they allowed her to see. A massive, unnatural mist lay ahead, the largest she had ever witnessed. In front of the mist, clear as day, was the Mizu cage. Fitting, she thought. They were the village hidden in the mist. They were born in the mist and they fought in the mist. Today, she intended to die in the mist. I'll melt as many of those hateful bastards as I can, she thought. She felt a second presence join her on the rooftop. Kojuro, what are you doing here? She asked. I'm here to fight with you, he answered firmly. Mei was shocked at his tone. This wasn't the shy boy who believed in her cause, this was the man she saw worthy of the 7 Swordsman title. Now I remember why I gave him that sword, she thought happily. He's worthy of it. Rebellion, Yagura called out. Today we end this farce of a war. I agree, Mei called back. Then where is your army? Yagura asked. We will be your opponents, Kojuro shouted. The rebellion thought it would be too unfair to fight against you normal people, he taunted. The 2 of us should make it a fair match. Wow, Kojuro, Mei said, impressed. Then I will be your opponent, Yagura called, ordering his army to stop. I will end this. Menma had what he needed. It would help in the final battle of the rebellion. We just hope we make it back in time, he thought. Yagura began walking towards the bunker, then broke into a jog, and finally a run. A single tail, not of Chakra but the physical tail of the 3 tails, manifested behind him. It was all of its power without any of the waste. The distance between them closed rapidly. Now, Mei thought. Lava-style, scorching rocks jutsu. She fired lava, which hardened into a ball of magma as it traveled towards the Mizu cage with Mei's full speed and strength. Pathetic, Yagura mumbled. He raised his staff and knocked the flaming rock away. Mei repeated the process several times. Each time, Yagura either destroyed the rocks or jumped out of the way. When the distance was finally closed, Yagura leaped onto the bunker, landing on the opposite side of the roof. I don't sense the boy, he said. Or anyone else. Mei and Kojuro remained silent. I see, they've abandoned you. Kojuro charged Yagura with his sword in its base form. Yagura simply raised his staff to block. This left the Mizu cage open. Before either of them could attack, a kunai with an explosive tag landed on the roof. It went off, separating the 2 of them. They turned to see the attacker. It was Ao, and behind him was the entire rebellion. Ao, I ordered you to leave. Mei yelled. I know, but the soldiers didn't want to, Ao explained. Back in my day, a shinobi followed their leader's orders without question. He drew a kunai. Good thing we aren't in my day anymore. Mei couldn't pretend to be angry, she let a smile show. On one side of the base was the Bloodline Rebellion, consisting of the last of the 7 swordsmen and an army of Bloodline users. On the other side were the Mizu cage and his soldiers, made up of the 3-tailed turtle and an army 5 times larger than the rebellions. Neither side moved, waiting for a sign to attack, be it a direct order or a show of weakness from the enemy. Attack, someone yelled. and the final fight began. The battle raged below the base, but on top was the war. The war would decide the fate of the village hidden in the mist. It would decide if the bloodline users could live in their own homes or die for them. It could be over in hours, minutes, or even seconds. "Let's end this," Mei said. "Gladly," Yagura replied. The Mizukage made the first move. Water style, water hydra jutsu. Drawing water from the mist, Yagura coated his entire body in it. From the coat of water, a single dragon's head rose. "Your move," he said. Mei fired a glob of lava at the young man as a test. The water hydra moved in front of the attack, destroying the water creature's head but rendering the attack useless. From the coat of water, 2 more heads rose. "I guess it really lives up to its name," Ao commented. Yagura began his next attack. Water style, blowfish poison. The Mizukage's cheeks expanded as he prepared his attack. He spat out a wad of greenish liquid that flew towards Mei with alarming accuracy. Hiramekure unleashing, long sword. Kojuro was able to place his sword in front of the attack before it connected with Mei. They noticed that as it dripped to the ground, it began to steam. Poison, they all thought. They made the mistake of taking their eyes off the Mizukage. The Hydra heads charged forward, crashing into both Kojuro and Ao, pushing them to the edge of the base. Yagura took his eyes off Mei. Lava style, lava monster jutsu. Mei released a large amount of lava from her mouth, which spread into a broad, thin sheet as it traveled through the air. Since it was shot upwards in an arc to descend on the targets from above, it prevented the Mizukage from jumping to avoid the attack. That meant Yagura had to take the attack head-on. When the lava connected with the water, it hardened, creating a container-like prison for the Mizukage. Mei spat the leftover lava onto the ground. "Is it over?" Kojuro asked. "No," Ao answered. With the Byakugan in his eye, he could see that Yagura was unharmed. Not only that, he was gathering a massive amount of chakra, the Sanbai's chakra. With a flare of the chakra, he freed himself from the magma prison. The chakra was potent enough to not only free him but also pause the battle below. Everyone could feel the demonic chakra surging through the Mizukage. He had released a second tail. "This war is over," Yagura said. "Surrender, and I'll allow your people a quick death. You can live the rest of your life as a slave," he offered. "You could be my personal pet, though you would have to be spayed. We can't have you breeding, you might start a second war." Mei turned her attention to the rebellion below. They watched her critically, judging if she was truly worthy of being their leader. "Even if I stray from my path as a leader, even if I stray from my path as a woman," she shouted defiantly, "I could never stray from my basic humanity. That is the difference between us. If my brethren and I are to fall, we will fall together, clinging to our freedom, to our hope, and watching it bloom." The soldiers heard their leader's words. She was worthy. Yagura looked down in disgust at the bloodline users, who were now continuing the battle with new frenzy. "I hope you enjoyed your speech," Yagura growled, "because you all will die together." He raised his staff and swung at her. The speed and power he was using were beyond her. Ao and Kojuro were too far away to help. There was no way she could dodge or block, so she closed her eyes. Mei had 2 regrets. She couldn't free her people, and she couldn't be with Menma. "Keep your hands off our fiancé," Menma ordered. Mei's eyes snapped open at the voice. Menma stood between Mei and Yagura's weapon, blocking it with his foot, which seemed to be made of darkness. "So you've returned," Yagura stated. "Far too late." "Menma," she whispered in awe. "You came back." "Corruption." Yagura watched as his staff withered away in his hands. Before he could say or do anything, Menma's foot turned from darkness to lava. Lava style, great eruption. Menma's lava leg erupted just as the name suggested. The magnitude of the attack pushed the Mizukage back and earned a scream of pain. "We're sorry, Mei-chan," Menma said. "We weren't able to fully keep our end of the deal." "You're here now," she said. "You're keeping it just fine." "Not that," he stated. "We promised to only take 10 jutsu from dead clans." He gave a fake apologetic smile. "We ended up stealing 10 from the Mizukage's army. I'll forgive you if you can help me kill this man," she said. "Shall we seal it with a kiss?" he asked cheekily. They would have, if Yagura hadn't interrupted with his chakra. He had shifted from a manifest tail to a chakra cloak. His wounds were healing before their eyes. "So you still side with that filth," he stated. "Too bad. Get behind us, Mei-chan," Menma ordered. "You can't beat him on your own," Mei protested. Menma only smiled. "We aren't on our own, we have inside help." Mei didn't understand what he meant, but she trusted him. He had, after all, come back to help fight in a war. Menma began to focus as he prepared for his final battle with Yagura. He reached for his necklace, which held a miniature sword of Nanoboko. He was grateful for his size-changing capabilities. He released it to its full size. "That's a strange weapon," Kojuro said. "Have you seen the 7 swords?" Ao asked. "One is a hammer, and the other is a sewing needle." Point taken. May saw that as Menma ran forward, he was different from before. He possessed a skill and grace that easily matched Kojuro's. Menma brought the sword down on Yagura. The Mizukage brought his cloaked arm up to defend, but the discomfort was obvious on his face. He swung his defending claw, knocking Menma back. The Mizukage then began swinging his clawed arms at Menma, who had no choice but to keep his distance. Menma swung again, harder than before. Just like last time, the blow connected. The difference was, Yagura had a smirk on his face. He sidestepped and placed a hand on Menma, pushing him off the edge. As Menma fell off the roof, he turned himself around. He saw Yagura trailing behind him. The Mizukage caught up to him and wrapped a hand around the child's neck. "Kid, you're a fool," he growled. "We've done this dance. I won." Menma could do nothing more than gasp in pain. The pressure on his neck and the lack of oxygen were a lot to bear. Yagura pulled his hand back, never letting go, and threw the falling boy. Menma landed on the ground with a loud thud. He barely had time to stand up and back away from the falling cage. He didn't have time to dodge the tail swipe. The blow showed just how powerful a tailed beast was. With just a glancing swipe, it sent Menma into the heart of the army. Unfortunately for him, it was Yagura's half. May watched in horror as they swarmed her fiancé. "Now do you see that it's all futile?" the Mizukage asked. "Your only hope of defeating me is now dead." "Not all of our hope," May thought defiantly. Their attention was captured by a large, deep noise. They turned to see molten rocks erupt high into the sky, drawing everyone's attention. When it was over, there was a crater of magma in the center of the army. The magma began to bubble and rise. In a terrifying instant, a dragon's head made entirely of the substance rose. It was sloppy and only half-formed, spilling onto the army. Whether it was intentional or not would never be known. The magma beast began a direct course for Yagura. On its head was Menma. "Look out, we're bringing the heat," he shouted. "Stop, you'll hit the rebellion," May shouted in fear. Her shout reached Menma and shocked him. He hadn't thought about that. He had gotten so into his fight that everything else was just background noise. This caused him to lose control of the beast, and it continued on its path of destruction. "Damn, need to stop it." May began sealing. Water-style, water pillar jutsu. A defensive technique where chakra needed inside her body is converted into water and expelled from the mouth in a dense, curved torrent, creating a near-instantaneous circular barricade to intercept incoming attacks. This technique was strong enough to not only consume Menma's lava beast but also stop it. The child collided with May once his beast was destroyed. That was completely reckless. May chastised. "What do you want from us?" Menma asked. "We're only 9 years old." "Yeah, 9, and with the power of a tailed beast." "Enough of this." Yagura roared as he appeared behind the two. Menma was barely able to push May out of the way as the mad cage arrived. He sidestepped the first attack, even the second. The third time, he attacked back, and their fists connected. "What's going on?" Yagura asked. He looked around only to see that he was inside his seal. "Did the turtle bring me here?" he guessed. "What are you doing here, Zero?" the turtle asked. "Hello, Sanbai," Menma greeted, ignoring the question. "What is your name?" This question took the demon off guard. "What are you planning?" Menma raised a fist to the beast. The beast knew the meaning of this gesture and complied. "What's going on?" Yagura asked again, and again he was ignored. "Sanbai, destroy him." Instead, the Sanbai just retracted its claw. "I see, my name is Isabu," it answered. "Use it well." "We will." "Enough. I will not be ignored in my own mind." Yagura charged the two, already forming hand signs. Whatever he was planning stopped along with him. "I can't move," he thought in fear. "We see you're feeling it," Menma said. Did why you do," he forced out. "Not us," Menma answered. "You can thank both May and Orochimaru." Menma jumped onto the Sanbai's prison. Corruption. At the same time, outside, May looked at the two demon hosts before her. They were locked in a trance-like state with their fists connected. May looked at the bottle in her hands, which contained large white pills. Menma had given it to her when he pushed her out of the way of the demonic Yagura. "What am I supposed to do with these?" She strained for an answer. "What are those?" Kojuro asked. "Don't know," she answered. "What do you think they're for?" Ao asked. "Don't know." She opened the bottle and took a pill out. Ao used the Byakugan to examine it. He couldn't figure out what was special about them or what they did. "Should we eat one?" Kojuro asked. "I don't think so," May answered. "Why?" She held up a piece of paper from the bottle. "This note says, do not eat, or else." "What else does it say?" "Do not feed it to us," she read. "I think we feed them to Yagura." They turned their attention to the man clad in a demonic cloak. Just touching it could cause a painful experience. I think not it," the woman shouted. "Not it. Kojuro exclaimed. Not I damn. Ao, I thank you for the service you do for your people, Mei said sweetly. Ao slowly made his way towards the not-so-vulnerable cage. Look, Kojuro said. They saw that Yagura's chakra cloak was beginning to fade. Soon, there was nothing to protect him. He was completely vulnerable. This is our chance. Ao shouted. Kojuro, cut his head off. No, Mei stopped him. Menma is trusting us with these pills for a reason, we should trust his decision. Why should we? Ao asked in shock. We can end this now. Mei simply walked towards him and took the pills from him. She gave him a sweet, honest smile, not her too sweet and threatening one. She looked him in the eyes as she answered. He came back, she whispered. Ao stood aside as his leader placed a single pill inside Yagura's mouth. What he did, why you do tea to me? Yagura strained to ask. Mei has placed a pill inside of you, Menma answered. A D drug? Yagura figured. These special pills were developed by Orochimaru, Menma began explaining. Once ingested, they cast a genjutsu on the target that paralyzes the body. The drugs also affect the target's mind to such a degree that even their tailed beast will feel it. It forced even the Haxabi into a frenzy. What chance did the Sanbai have? Menma turned to the turtle. No offense. None taken. Sanbai, US shall LDFK kept the sea cloak on, stopping it. I normally would have, Isabu stated. But the child has given me an offer I couldn't refuse. What offer? My freedom, he answered. As well as yours. There was nothing more to say as the drug took effect. Menma pulled his fist back as the Mizu cage began to convulse. The Sanbai's chakra began to flare so wildly that his host's mind began to break apart. Menma just watched as the mind of the figure before him changed. What's happening? Ao asked. The war is ending, Menma answered. The child placed a hand on Yagura's chest and held a second one out to Mei. She took it without hesitation. The three of them disappeared in a dark body flicker. They arrived at a lake that led to an ocean. Yagura continued to convulse in pain. They watched as it all came to a sudden stop. I remember, Yagura whispered. He looked towards the two people who ended the war, a child with a demon and a woman with a goal. The Sanbai's cloak-like chakra began to form on him, tearing his skin. Thank you, Yagura said, tears in his eyes. What's happening? Mei asked. Yagura never started this bloodline war. He was being controlled by a powerful genjutsu that made him think he honestly hated your kind, Menma explained. Now the genjutsu is broken. Then you can fix everything. Mei cheered. Everything can return to normal. No, Yagura stated. He's still there. He's waiting to take control again. He sighed. I can't get rid of him. The Sanbai's chakra began increasing. He made me into a monster. But you have control for now, Menma hinted. That's right, Yagura agreed. My flesh, my mind, my heart. He gave in to the Sanbai. Time to die, like a man. They watched as the man experienced his last act of freedom, with a smile on his face. The man was gone. The Sanbai was free. We need to get back, Mei said. She had just watched the Sanbai bump fist/claw with Menma. Apparently, the two of them had an understanding. Now the turtle was leaving. Yes, he pulled her into a hug, and they disappeared in another body flicker. They arrived back on the base to see that nothing had changed. The armies were still fighting with everything they had. Why haven't they stopped? Mei asked. The war is over. They're consumed by their own bloodlust, Ao answered. Their hate is blinding them. We can work with hate, Menma said. He went still, literally pulling all the hate and fear of both armies into him. Menma had to admit, it felt good. He pulled so much at once that the soldiers stopped in confusion. The power war gave him was like nothing he had ever felt. Menma, Zero called in warning. Power corrupts. Don't worry, Menma returned. We're in control. He began to change the hate he had taken, not into power, but into another negative emotion, overwhelming guilt and shame. He sent out every bit he had taken from the army. The soldiers looked at themselves and those around them. They couldn't believe the carnage that lay around them. They couldn't believe that they had helped create it. Menma stepped forward. Citizens of Kiri, he shouted at the top of his lungs. The war is over. The rebellion has won, he cheered. He sucked the fear and hate from the Mizuki's army before it started. Menma and the village of the mist. Menma looked out at the village of the mist, which had been transformed over the past few months. No longer did anyone hide who or what they were, in fact, some people openly flaunted it. The villagers had become much friendlier, and Menma could feel a wave of positive emotions growing. Too bad we can't get stronger from that, he thought to himself. Despite the newfound peace, people hadn't forgotten the brutal massacres. They were simply doing their best to keep the darkness out, with each kind action acting like a spark of hope. It also helped that Menma silently fed on their negative emotions before they could fester into something terrible. The villagers now saw Menma as an icon, the hero who ended Yagura's reign. He might even have been offered the title of Mizukage if he hadn't been so young. He sighed, taking in the village again. He had helped create something new, a new era. Menma had changed, too. The 9-year-old was now 10 and still growing. A new mission. Mei-chan, you wanted to see us? Menma asked. He looked at his fiancée, the 5th Mizukage, who had taken to the job like a natural. She was clearly the right choice. Yes, I wanted to talk to you about the tailed beast, she said, the Sanbai. Isabu, Menma corrected. Yes, Isabu and his standing with the village, she continued. The council has started up again. The council had thrown a fit when they found out the Sanbai had been released, believing the village had been weakened by the loss of their weapon. This had angered Menma more than anything Mei had ever seen. She didn't know he was thinking of his sister. The council had demanded a new host of better Yagura. It wasn't until Menma threatened to use his cage favor to disband them that they finally backed down. The council wants their weapons back, she sighed, then gave him a mischievous grin. But they're willing to give in to your demands. Menma had demanded that the tailed beasts be given their freedom, allowed to roam the land of water without being hunted. In return, the tailed beasts would protect the village that had given them asylum. Good. We'll tell Isabu immediately, Menma said. Before you go, I have a mission for you, she said, her tone all business. It involves the 6 tails. What? She smiled again. It's done. Meeting Utakata. Menma was waiting at the designated meeting spot near the mist's border, a place known for good deals. What took you so long? Menma asked suddenly. I was making sure the area was secure, a voice replied. I had to be certain. You don't trust the new Mizukage's word? Menma questioned. They sent a child to do their negotiations. I have every right to be skeptical, the voice replied. Besides, my tenant has warned me about you. Menma turned to face his acquaintance, Utakata, the host of the 6-tailed slug. Utakata was a tall, thin young man with pale golden eyes and long brown hair that covered the left side of his face. He wore a long, light blue kimono with a small emblem of 3 bubbles on the back, gray pants, and an orange sash. The loose kimono exposed his chest. He carried a bamboo jug filled with soap solution and a pipe. Let's begin, Menma said. The new Mizukage is offering you a full pardon to return. Even if you refuse, you will no longer be hunted. Then why should I return? He asked suspiciously. And why did you ignore what I said? Menma leaned forward. What do you know about an organization called the Akatsuki? He told Utakata everything he knew about the group, their plans, their members, and even a bit about his own tenant and his plans. That's a lot to take in, Utakata said. Can I have some time to think? We can give you up to 24 hours, Menma answered. The Tailed Beasts Alliance. Menma decided to spend the next 24 hours with the 3 tails, Isabu. Ever since Yagura's defeat, Menma had wanted to get to know the turtle as well as possible. Really? Isabu asked. A full pardon for the 6 tails host? Yep. The council hated the idea, Menma said. Then we reminded them they need all the power they can get. It'll be nice to have another demon around, Isabu commented. The 6 tails host had been banished because of Yagura. He wouldn't side with the genocidal Mizukage, so Yagura didn't want any competition. We also got the council to agree to the demands, Menma continued proudly. The 3 tails stared at the boy with his single eye. You go to such great lengths for me and my kind. Why? It's the right thing to do, Menma replied. The turtle continued to gaze at the boy, then held out a clawed fist. Menma stared at it. You don't have to, Menma said. You already gave us your chakra. I'm not giving you chakra, Isabu corrected. I'm giving you essence. That's what allows you to use our abilities. You still don't. I do, Isabu interrupted. You freed me from my prison and future ones. You even helped Yagura in the end. Sun saw something in you, and I see it too. He gave you the power of lava. I'll give you the power of the sea. Menma didn't argue. He bumped fists with the turtle and felt the power flow into him without restraint. While Sun's lava had a burning passion, Isabu's had a relaxed, calming feel. Thank you. Ah, isn't this sweet, a third voice said. Menma and Isabu turned in shock. Someone had been able to sneak up on them. Menma paled as he saw the figure in a long, black cloak with red clouds, the Akatsuki. It was the man with the spiral mask. The one who had controlled Yagura. The one who had helped kill the Uchiha. You! Menma shouted, flaring his power. Whoa, whoa, the man exclaimed frantically. Toby isn't here to fight. Then what are you here for? Menma snapped. Why are you angry at me? Toby asked, faking hurt. Toby is a good boy. A good boy? Menma couldn't believe his ears. You massacred an entire clan. If that eye is real, it's your own clan. Then we find out you sent a whole village into a civil war by controlling their cage. Toby, you're a bad boy. You know what Toby has to say to all of that? He asked happily. What? Toby raised his hands and made a strange gesture. Menma felt like he was going to lose his mind. Enough pleasantries, Toby said in a serious tone. What have you done to my puppet? Menma was taken aback by the sudden shift in personality. It reminded him too much of the night they first met, of how helpless he'd felt. But things were different now. We freed him, Menma answered. Well then, the three tails is of no use to me for now, Toby said. I'll come back for it later. I'll fight you. Isabu cried. I see. Well then, I'll be on my way, Toby stated. Why come here in the first place? Menma asked. You could have come for the Sanbai when he was alone. I was just the distraction, Toby answered, his cheerful persona returning. Do you have any salt? No, why? Menma asked. Well, we're going after a big slug, he answered. Need to put it down. Menma paled at the hidden message. The Akatsuki's attack. Menma was running as fast as he could, heading straight for the Mizuki's office. He burst through the door, startling his fiancée. Menma-kun, Mei shouted. What's going on? We need a squad immediately, Menma said. Mei saw the look on his face and knew something was terribly wrong. With a snap of her fingers, a squad of Umbu appeared. I'm coming with you, she stated. We also need someone to guard the Sanbai. Ao, Mei called. Understood. With nothing more to say, Menma consumed the Umbu and Mei into the darkness. They arrived at the spot where Menma had met Utakata. The area was now a battlefield. What happened here? Mei asked. Akatsuki, Menma answered. Spread out, Mei ordered. Search for the Six Tails host. Menma went his own way after the order. He was either lucky or unlucky, he found them. He saw their outfits first, a total of 6 figures in black cloaks with red clouds. They hadn't turned to look at him yet. At their feet was Utakata, looking as if he'd been on the losing end of a one-sided war. Who are you? Menma asked. I am Pain, one of them said as he turned. I am God. Menma froze at the name. Orochimaru's notes had identified Pain as the leader, but offered little information about his skills. Now, as Menma looked into his eyes, he understood. The Rinnegan, the first and most powerful bloodline. Menma, Arun, Utakata said weakly. You are Menma? Pain asked. I've heard of you. You are in the way. He raised his hand. You are in the way of peace. Almighty push. Menma felt a sensation wash over him before it vanished. The trees behind him were pushed away by an invisible force, their roots torn from the ground. We don't know what you're planning, Menma said, his fist turning to lava. But it won't work. Lava style, great eruption. A molten river of lava flew toward Pain and his colleagues. The cloaked figures all jumped away, except for one man with black, spiked piercings in his head. As the lava fell upon him, he absorbed it. It seemed to simply flow around him before fading away. When it stopped, the man looked up with a pair of Rinnegan eyes. Wah! Menma looked for the other Akatsuki members, only to see that they had scattered. The only ones he could see were Pain and the absorbing man. It seems you are full of surprises, Pain said. No matter. A black rod extended from Menma's chest. The pain was excruciating, it felt as if his body was being destroyed from the inside out. Menma looked behind himself and saw another pair of Rinnegan eyes and a tall man with long hair. Who are you? Menma asked through the pain. I told you, he answered. I am Pain. Menma was now impaled into the ground, his limbs skewered by the black rods. Now then, let's see what you know, Pain said. One of the Pain stepped forward and placed a hand on Menma's head. With a tug, he began to pull out an ethereal body. What's going on? Menma thought in a panic. Relax as I reach deep and grab hold of what makes you, Pain answered. We need an adult. Relax, another Pain said. I'm only stealing your soul. Pain was surprised, the boy was resisting well, seemingly unintentionally. Mito. He wanted his last thought to be a happy one. This thought caused Pain to stop. You are the brother of the Nine Tails host, Pain stated. Menma froze. Pain knew about his sister. No, we won't let you touch her. Menma shouted. He called forth all the darkness he could, consuming himself and the Pains. Only one Pain seemed able to push the darkness away. It is useless. Darkness is gravity pulling in the light, Pain explained. I control gravity. What are you? Another Pain asked. A protective big brother. Menma shouted, levitating into the air. Swifter than the snow leopards, fiercer than the evening wolves. Fear me, for armored with her love, I possess the strength to fight a god. And a god you do face. Menma raised his arms to the heavens. Cataclysm. The effects were immediate. Mei felt Menma's chakra flare, along with several others. The new chakra wasn't demonic, but it was just as powerful. This is not good, she thought. She and her squad prayed they would arrive in time. The aftermath. Menma lay on the ground, broken and spent. His body was too damaged to move, and his chakra was gone. He looked at his target. 3 of the pains were unharmed, and 2 others had converged to protect the main one, who began reviving the fallen ones. The main pain loomed over him. "Why do you resist?" he asked. "We fight so she can go on," Menma answered calmly. "We're just a protective big brother." Pain looked at the devastated landscape. "Do you know why you failed? If you're about to say it's futile to resist a god, you'd better just kill me now," Menma said. "You lack the pain," Pain stated. "Your heart was limited while you were in mist." He gestured to the destruction. "This was the resolve you needed." "You saw our memories," Menma guessed. "Yes." The Pain who had been protected finished reviving the others. He and the rest stood over Menma. From the air, he pulled out a cloak with blue whirlpools and dropped it on Menma's broken body. "I know almost everything about you, Menma," another Pain said. "I will let you live. Your plan aligns with our own, so you want me to join you?" Menma asked. "You will not," the voice said as a fact. "But you also wish to create a world of peace, though you do it for those you care for. We will let you continue. We will have our final showdown at another time. Why not kill me now? I am not Itaki." With nothing more to say, they left. When Menma woke up, he was in the Mizuki's office. "Menma-kun," Mei cried. "We're okay, Mei," Menma said. She could see he was far from okay. The look on his face was one she had only seen on her own face during the war, a look of helplessness and defeat. "I know something that might cheer you up," she said. "It's finished." Menma perked up. "Can we see it?" he asked excitedly. Mei smiled. He was returning to his old self. She had to remind herself that he was still a kid with a short attention span. She handed him an object. "She'll love it," he thought. "Plus, I have a second gift to give her. I should probably thank Pain." Menma opened a door to a certain room in Konoha and dropped the gifts inside. A gift for Mito. Mito walked into her room with a heavy heart. It had been another hard day, but she kept smiling. Her brother would want her to be happy. When she looked at her bed, she saw something under her blanket. She pulled it back and was amazed. It was a katana made from the hardest steel available. It had a blue handle with 3 whirlpool images flowing down the blade. It was attached to a cloak with the same designs. She tried it on, and it fit perfectly. There was a note. "Dear Mito, I do everything I can to protect you because I love you. I want you to be able to protect yourself because I love you. Always thinking of you. Love, Menma." Mito's eyes widened. Who the hell is Menma? Menma's head snapped up. He realized the major error he had made. He was currently packing everything he would need into a sealing scroll when Mei walked in. "Where are you going?" she asked. "We've been neglecting our mission," Menma said. "We need to get back on track." Mei was sad to see him pack. "You don't need to leave," she said. "You can train and work from the mist." "We can't, Mei-chan," Menma said sadly. "We'd only slow down our goals." He knew the words had hurt her. He was basically calling her a distraction. He finished packing without meeting her gaze. When he was done, she stood out of his way as he passed. As he walked by, he whispered 3 tiny words that brought a smile to her face and heart. "I love you, too," she whispered back. Menma was off to raise hell. But before he could, Orikimura was making his way away from civilization, searching for a person named Menma. The snake had been keeping tabs on the boy. He and Mei had even talked about him while getting drunk, agreeing that Menma was interesting. Now he had found him. A warning from Orikimura. Menma was almost ready, just waiting for a signal. He had spent the last year undergoing the hardest training his body could handle. Now 11 and a half, he had 3 tails of power and had grown nearly a foot. His skills had improved nicely. He was proficient in both ninjutsu and elemental manipulation, able to use any jutsu he learned for one element with another. His kenjutsu had improved with his sword, and he was skilled with a whip, staff, and spear. The more people he encountered, the stronger he got. He had trained under the radar but also made a name for himself as a B-rank ninja known for his raw power and sword skills. He now wore a black no mask, a dark blue-gray robe with a fur collar, and a tattered gray-blue cape emblazoned with his personal emblem, a mandala of 10 reddish-brown circles over a larger green-gray one. Underneath, he wore no shirt, fingerless black gloves, baggy black pants, and red-brown sandals. His outfit wasn't just for show. The robe was lined with various seals, each with a practical use, including a standard repair seal and a gravity seal to increase its weight. His mask had 2 seals, an umbu seal that prevented its removal unless destroyed, and a cloaking seal that hid his chakra. Both the robe and mask carried 2 other seals, one for protection from non-chakra attacks and another to bind his chakra for later use. He didn't wear his headbands openly, instead tying them to a strap on his waist like trinkets. He didn't want to put any villages in danger. Menma hadn't been alone, though. His constant companion was Zero, a leech demon that was evolving into something else even Menma didn't know what. Menma was meditating when he sensed a dark, yet familiar, presence. He jumped to the side, avoiding a snake that would have devoured him. Before the snake could attack again, Menma acted. Repulsion. As the name suggested, it was a force of pure chakra that repelled. He had been working on it since Pain mentioned controlling gravity. The blast was only enough to stun the snake, but it was enough to send it home. Menma watched as Orochimaru appeared in front of him. This was their form of greeting a game between the two of them. They had become more than just partners, they were now honest friends, something Orochimaru once thought impossible. I see you aren't surprised I arrived, Orochimaru said. How did you know I was here? You have a vile aura, Menma answered. Orochimaru opened his mouth, then closed it. There was no denying that simple truth. I haven't come for pleasantries, Menma-kun, Orochimaru said with a frown. I carry grave information. Apparently, Stone and Cloud are trying to create an alliance against Konoha, Orochimaru explained. They're having a meeting in 3 days. What's so bad about that? Menma asked. Do you think they won't let you join to finish off Minato, or do you just want to do it alone? Menma joked. Or, they have Mito, Orochimaru stated. What? The snake's son inside. Stone kidnapped her, and that Tsuchikage plans on using her as a gift to the Raikage. What is Konoha doing to stop them? Menma asked. Nothing. What? Menma roared. Minato believes it's wise to let them think she's a nobody, Orochimaru explained. No one outside the village knows she's the Kyuubi's host. She's his daughter. Look at what he's done to his sons, the snake retorted. Menma knew Orochimaru was right. Noeki had become a spoiled child, and Menma was. Let's try from an angle he does care about, Menma sighed. She carries the Kyuubi and the Uzumaki genes. Konoha loses both powerful assets, and he loses face. Orochimaru just shrugged. Even he didn't know what that man was planning. No choice, Menma sighed. You're going after her. Damn right. Well, you'll have to find out where she is on your own, Orochimaru stated. Even I don't know where the meeting is being held. With nothing more to say, the snake-like man began sinking into the ground. Man, he's creepy, Menma thought. The showdown at Ichiraku. Menma was furious. Konoha was having a peaceful day. That wasn't what made him mad, it was the remaining Namikaze family eating at Ichiraku ramen, as if they didn't have a care in the world, as if Mito wasn't in the hands of an enemy nation. Menma was standing on top of the ramen stand. He had sneaked into Konoha through a secret barrier and moved with the crowd. He had to agree with Orochimaru once again. Konoha had grown soft with peace. Time to break that peace, he thought. Hello, Namikaze family, Menma greeted. The entire restaurant went on edge, and many shinobi reached for their weapons. No weapons. No, A fist collided with the Hokage monument's face, but the statue remained unscathed. Menma, however, was no longer just angry, he was ecstatic. He just made the man he hated most nearly soil himself. Must focus, he chastised himself. He was a day's journey from the 2 village borders. Normally, he would have traveled under the cover of night, but his chakra was nearly depleted. The attack had cost him almost an entire tael's worth, and the rest was sealed in his outfit. He needed to move slowly and recuperate for his upcoming plan. Menma gazed at the village ahead, a bustling hub on the border of the 2 nations. It was the perfect place for a secret meeting and for him to crash it. Where do I even begin? He wondered. His question was answered by a blow to the side of his head, knocking him into a nearby building. We've been waiting for you, Menma, a familiar voice said. He stood up, finding himself surrounded by a dozen shinobi, half from IWA, half from Kumo. Leading them was a man Menma had never trusted. What are you doing here, Shino? Menma asked. He's here to give us a show, a gruff voice replied. Menma turned to see 2 powerful figures, the Raikage and the Tsuchikage, both already inside the building he'd been thrown into. Shit. I'm trapped. What is this all about? Menma demanded. We're going to restrain you, then we're going to my village, the Tsuchikage answered. And why would we allow that? Menma shot back. We, the Tsuchikage questioned. He does that, Shino interjected with a smirk. The reason you'll allow it is simple, we have Mito. Menma stiffened at the words. I have Mito, the Tsuchikage confirmed. All you have is your words. Of course, Shino agreed. And I'm sure they'll be enough. As Shino had predicted, Menma was bound. What none of them knew was that Menma had 2 other sources of power. Shino had sealed his chakra, but he hadn't sealed the darkness, the very thing Menma expected him to target first. Not that he would have used it if it put Mito in danger. What are you up to, Shino? He thought. As if he could read his mind, Shino gave Menma an unpleasant smile. We'll have to use our brains for this. They moved at a quick pace, with Menma slung over the Raikage's back. Why steal Mito? Menma asked. Why not come after me yourself? As if I'm crazy enough to challenge you without a plan, Shino laughed. Luring you out was the best option. Is Mito unharmed? Menma asked nervously. She's just under a bit of restraint, Shino answered. Nothing else. Has she been touched? Menma pressed. Mito Uzumaki Namikaze has not been touched, a kunoichi with a cat mask spoke up. You have my word. Menma looked at the Kumo ninja, getting the impression she was a beauty under the mask. Thank you, he sighed in relief. That actually has me thinking, Shino said. I couldn't figure out her connection to you. And you never will, Menma assured him. I dug up everything I could, but found nothing, Shino continued. Other than your hatred for Minato. A man after my own heart, that Tsuchikage chuckled. The rest of the journey was silent. Menma noticed the tension between the two shinobi groups. Maybe we can use that, he thought. Where are we going? Menma asked. To IWA, someone replied. Why IWA? Menma pressed. Once there, we will extract what we need from you, that Tsuchikage explained. Why is the Raikage here? My village will gain in Uzumaki. And IWA will gain, what? Revenge against the man who decimated our armies, that Tsuchikage declared. What father can live with knowing he failed his child? You have no idea, Menma thought. Don't trust him, Menma whispered to the Raikage. The Raikage grunted. When has IWA ever done something without gain? Menma asked. They're always the first to grab the spoils once the work is done. Manipulation doesn't work on a cage, the Raikage growled. Examine the evidence, Menma urged. You'll see. The Raikage said nothing, his mind starting to turn on itself. Menma had nothing more to say, speaking too much would make him obvious. What are you going on about, boy? That Tsuchikage demanded. Why do you both need us? Menma asked. You both have what you want. Where do we come in? That would be me, Shino answered. I steal Mito, and they give me you. Any more questions? Why are all of you so open with your answers? The shinobi, cage and underling paused to consider the question. Why are we answering him? They all thought. In truth, Menma had been feeding their egos with pride, which led to their arrogance and overconfidence. We're here. They had arrived at one of the 5 great villages, Uegakur. The Raikage and Tsuchikage moved through the village with an air of confidence, heading toward the cage office in the village's center. Alright, Raikage, that Tsuchikage said. Hand over Menma. Menma noticed the look the Raikage gave him before speaking. First, the Uzumaki, the Raikage replied. I want to see that she is in unsullied condition. The Tsuchikage gave a calculating look before nodding. With a hand sign, he sent a shinobi to fetch Mito. I'm sensing a lack of trust in you, the Tsuchikage spoke. The first 2 Tsuchikage have been known to use underhanded tactics to ensure prosperity for their village, even in times of alliances and peace, the Raikage snapped. What's to say you're any different? That was simple tactics, the old man retorted. So is making sure my village gets its end of the deal, the large man snapped back. The two were at a standoff. The shinobi returned with Mito, who was mostly unharmed, though bound in ninja wire and gagged. Why is she gagged? Menma asked. She switches between biting and swearing like a sailor, the guard answered. But mostly biting. That's my girl, Menma thought. Menma looked at the 6 cloud shinobi surrounding him, knowing he was in the heart of IWA. This won't end well. He walked toward Mito, and no one stopped him, believing he was just another harmless prisoner. He pulled the gag from her mouth. Mito, Menma spoke. Have they harmed you? The redhead gave him a searching look before shaking her head. Who the hell are you? She asked. We're the one who will save you, he answered. She looked him over. You don't seem to be doing too well yourself. It's a work in progress, he admitted. A failed work, Shino laughed. Stone tablets, very familiar ones, began to form under Menma. These are the sealing tablets. He realized, frantically. What is this, Tsuchikage? The Raikage asked. The plan, he answered. We plan on extracting the power from this boy. And what will you seal it into? A vessel strong enough, Shino declared. Until a suitable host can be found, the Tsuchikage exclaimed. Then I shall take the Uzumaki girl, the Raikage stated. The Tsuchikage made a subtle hand sign to a kunoichi. Lava-style, quicklime jutsu. The kunoichi's cheeks inflated as she expelled a large quantity of the substance. It was a direct hit to the Raikage, who had his back turned. Wah! Water-style, water trumpet. The substance began to harden as the water hit it. Actually, Raikage, Shino said. We feel it would be best if you didn't go anywhere. What are you planning, you fool? The Raikage demanded. This wasn't part of the arrangements. I know, but I can't let any blood of that accursed man live, the Tsuchikage snarled. Any children you breed from her will have his blood. The Raikage's body surged with raw lightning chakra, but he struggled against the lime prison in vain. No matter how much force he used, it wasn't enough. Pointless, the Tsuchikage stated. This prison keeps you from gaining any leverage to break free. Add that it's partially earth chakra, and you can't escape. His words proved true as the Raikage continued to struggle. The Raikage began to understand that Menma's words were partially true. Instead of greed, the Tsuchikage's hate had caused him to betray a fellow cage. Kill the bitch, the Tsuchikage ordered. No, Menma forced out. He reached into his robes and grabbed his necklace, on which were two items, the first Hokage's necklace and a shrunken version of the sage's sword. Menma grabbed the sword. The weapon extended and grew into a Notaki. Raising the legendary weapon high, he brought it down onto the seals. Since the weapon was just malleable chakra and not darkness, it wasn't absorbed. The seals were broken for a second time. That wasn't part of the plan, Shino grumbled. Neither was this, Menma shouted. He used the weapon as a whip, lashing it toward Mito. It wrapped around her and pulled her to his side without harming her. Yujito, the Reikage roared. Retrieve her, a Kunoichi attacked, leaping into the air and coming down with both legs. The force shook the ground, kicking up dust. Using the dust as a cover, she lunged at Menma, her nails extended into claws. Menma barely blocked her attack. As soon as she was close enough, Menma felt it. So, another demon container, he thought. Good. You are Yujito Nii, correct? He asked during their power struggle. Yes, she answered. Menma ducked as she swiped at his head, then aimed his weapon and extended it. She was too close to block or dodge and took the full force of the attack. With great precision, the weapon hit a specific pressure point, and she fell unconscious. Everyone watched in shock as he easily downed a Jinchuriki. This gave him enough time to prepare one of his most unused attacks. Black hole. A concentrated force of his darkness began to manipulate gravity, creating a black ball no larger than a marble. No matter how much power he poured into it, the size remained unchanged, but its weight grew to be too much for him, so he dropped it. The ball created a small crater on impact, and darkness erupted from it like smoke, spreading into a black blanket that covered a mile-wide radius. Everyone watched as buildings began to sink, caving in under the pressure of the gravitational pull. What are you doing? The Tsuchikage demanded. We are using the power of gravity to destroy your village, Menma answered calmly. Stop this at once. The pulling stopped, and all eyes fell on Menma. Free Mito, he ordered. Then we will spare your village. No, he stated. I will have my revenge. The pulling continued. You are not worthy of the title of Kage, Menma whispered. Attack him, the Tsuchikage ordered. Why are you all just standing there? Attack! The IWA shinobi broke from their trance and swarmed the masked child with weapons drawn, but it was a little too late. Liberation. The darkness released everything it had devoured, crushing it to smithereens under the pressure. What have you done to my village? The Tsuchikage didn't receive an answer. He looked to see that Menma was gone, along with Mito. What he did won't compare to what I'll do. The Tsuchikage turned to see the Reikage free from his lime prison. How? The Kunoichi who imprisoned him asked. As the kid said, liberation. In truth, he had been freed by Yujito. The surge of dark chakra had caused the Two Tails to force her awake. Han, after them, the Tsuchikage ordered. Kill them both. Yujito, after them, the Reikage ordered. Bring me the girl alive. With a simultaneous bow, the Jinchuriki were off. The cages had a fight of their own to handle. Menma was running at top speed, Mito in his arms. The young redhead never stopped squirming, which was why he hadn't removed her binds or gag. He couldn't risk her doing something drastic. Mito finally had enough of being kidnapped. Sending a small amount of chakra to her mouth, she lengthened her incisors. With a single bite, she tore through her gag. Clever, Menma thought. Who are you? Mito asked. The question hurt Menma deeply, but he understood her suspicion. He wanted to tell her who he was but couldn't not yet. We are Menma, he answered. With a single twist of her body, she pushed herself from his grasp, jumped to her feet, and bit through her hand binds. You, she screamed, pointing an accusing finger. You're that stalker. No, we. She never gave him a chance to explain. She charged at him with impressive speed, fist raised. Menma raised an open palm to catch her punch and was shocked by her strength. She tried a surprise kick to his side, but he caught her leg mid-strike and pushed her off balance. Impressive, but a sloppy style, he thought. Show us more. She growled and formed a single hand sign, Shadow Clone Jutsu. She summoned half a dozen clones, which charged him while she tried to retreat. Not on our watch. Menma sent a single tentacle of malleable chakra after the redhead. The substance crawled over her, binding her arms behind her back. Am I going to make the hentai joke, or are you? She asked. With a single yank, he pulled her back into his arms and placed her on a nearby boulder. The chakra fused with the rock, holding Mito in place. Get him already, she shouted to her clones. One clone lunged from behind, but Menma ducked, allowing her to crash into another clone. That was two down. He noticed three more grouped together, waiting for an opportunity. He wouldn't give them one. Repulsion. The blast forced all three to dispel at once. He turned to the final clone. And then there was one, he said. The clone looked at him in complete fear. He had just destroyed three of them at once. What hope did a single clone have? None, she answered herself. Until she looked behind him. Menma watched in confusion as Mito's clone smirked before dispelling. He turned to see the source of her strange action. Yujito Nii, the host of the two-tailed cat. We don't want to fight you, Menma said. We only want fire-style mouse hairball. A ball of blue fire flew toward him. He was sure he saw a mouse inside it. Menma jumped back from the flame, which exploded into more hairballs instead of hitting the ground. The flaming rodents began a wild, directionless charge. Water-style, liquid bullets. Menma's cheeks expanded as he fired a ball of pressurized water at the flames, aiming for the source where the other mice were firing from. This created a large cloud of steam that covered the immediate area. Menma drew the sword of Nunoboko and took the hidden miss stance, knowing he had the knowledge of the style but wasn't a master. He jabbed it forward like a spear, hoping the steam would block her view. Instead of being impaled, she jumped onto the weapon. Cat-like balance, she said. She then ran down the weapon toward him. When she was close enough, he raised a hand. Repulsion. It was a direct hit, but she didn't go far. She stood up and began brushing off the dust. Just tell me where she is, and I'll give you a painless death, Yujito offered. No, Menma answered. Good. I'd hate for your kind to go unpunished, she growled before lunging. What does she mean by that? Menma thought. He had no time to ponder the answer. The blonde was on him, claws extended. Menma caught both her hands. We won't let you harm her, Menma said coldly. We won't let you turn her into a breeding stock for your village. He kicked her back, and she landed on her feet. We both know you don't care about her heritage, Yujito said. You know very well what's in her. Nibi told me what's in you as well. Does the Raikage know about it? Menma asked. No. Menma began removing his robes, along with his restrictions. He kept his mask on. Without the restrictions, he released 2 tails of chakra, which formed a black chakra coat like a Jinchuriki's. Yujito was shocked at the power the child possessed. This power is equal to the Nibi's, she thought. We're going to make sure you never get the chance to tell him, Menma said seriously. Yujito began flaring the Nibi's chakra, and she, too, entered her chakra cloak. The 2 beasts stood at a standstill, waiting for the other to make a move, both studying and forming a strategy. The Nibi is a fire demon, Menma thought. So we'll need to stick with the Sanbai's essence. He's just a child, so he should be low on experience, Yujito assumed. Menma made the first move, an offensive one. Water-style, ripping torrent. A ball of water formed in his hand, which he fired at her. It moved at a high speed, expanding to the size of a person. Yujito countered with 2 large fireballs that were so hot they extinguished the water on contact. Flame of judgment. The Nibi-possessed woman punched the ground. It crumbled as blue fire rose up and consumed Menma, but he just looked at it in confusion. Impossible, she shouted. You should be ashes. She charged, but stopped mid-attack, looking down to see a purple tendril piercing through her chest where her seal was located. She felt a familiar pull in the back of her mind. Menma watched as the host of the Nibi gained consciousness in her mind. Inside the mindscape, there was a vast nothingness. Menma felt a ground beneath his feet, but there was nothing there. There was a large, 2-tailed cat demon made entirely of blue flames with mismatched eyes. Hello, human, the demon spoke. Hello, Nibi-san, Menma replied. Tell me, why do you possess Sanbai's essence, she asked. Isabu gave it to us, Menma answered. So did Son Goku. You know their names, she asked in shock. We would also like to know yours, Menma said. The Nibi was shocked. Since he had the Ribi and other tailed beast's essence, she was sure he was familiar with demons. But to ask for her name was unheard of. What do you want with the Kuwabai child? Yujito asked. Menma looked at the woman for a long minute before answering. To protect her. So you want the girl for a good reason, Nibi stated in realization. No wonder you weren't turned to ashes. What now? Menma asked. My host here thought you had dark intentions for the girl, Nibi explained, making her host blush. That fire came directly from hell. Those flames were meant to judge you, but you passed. First one to ever do that, Yujito said in shock. So, since her judgment was on our intentions for Mito, we passed, Menma asked. Yes. I thought you were just trying to gain power, Yujito admitted. You're right, we don't care about her blood, Menma agreed. But we also don't care about the Kuwabai. Then what do you care about? Nibi asked. Menma thought on the question before answering. Our little sister. My name is Matatabi, Nibi said. Menma smiled as he received another name. Before they could continue their conversation, a spike in chakra broke the connection. Menma and Yujito snapped to consciousness at the sudden surge of demonic chakra. They turned to see the host of the 5 tails standing right behind them, in his initial state with steam flaring around his body. Die, he shouted. He delivered a steam punch to Yujito's side, knocking her into Mito's boulder and cracking it, also rendering the Kumo Kunoichi unconscious. Before Menma could react, Han charged and kicked Menma in his chest, sending him flying a few feet. Menma quickly corrected his stance, lava covering his arms. Lava style, lava punch. Menma sent flying fist after fist of lava toward his enemy. It was similar to his attack in Konoha, just on a much smaller scale. The five-tailed Jinchuriki simply flared his steam, creating a shield. He charged the masked child again. Menma had no way to defend himself, so he took the blow. It didn't send him flying, but it knocked him onto his backside, leaving him open. No, not like this. Menma cried mentally. He had no name for his next attack, and he doubted he ever would. It was just a desperate move he came up with. He focused as much of Son Goku's essence into his arms as he could and struck out desperately into the enemy's chest. His fist dug into the Jinchuriki's body, leaving a hole larger than his fist. He wasn't done. He began pumping an entire arm's worth.